Celestial Immortal Clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 751, The Whole Family Rejoices. After killing the third-level monster, Lin Changqing stopped attacking casually and was only responsible for the overall situation. Flying in the air, he would only help if he saw any tribe members in danger to ensure their safety. After all, the Lin family was at most 200 or 300 cultivators, so the safety of the tribe members must be ensured first. He had already seen his mother, and sister and Muzio. The four of them formed a small formation and rushed to kill with the tribe members. The scene was too chaotic at this time. Lin Changqing was worried that they would get into trouble, so he immediately mobilized 16 purple crystal scorpions to protect them. Just 4 were assigned to each person, and they circled regularly above their heads, forming a very obvious protective circle. When his sister Lin Changqing saw this scene, she couldn't help but laugh non-stop. Obviously, she understood her brother's intention, so she was very proud. But the situation was still quite tense, so Lin Changqing didn't have time to pay attention to her, but only paid some attention to them. After 1 or 2 hours of hunting, the monster group had retreated dozens of miles. The clan leader was worried about encountering other monster groups, so he issued an order to summon all the clan members back. Almost everyone came back and gathered around Lin Changqing, causing his uncles, brothers and sisters to greet him non-stop. And they had a lot of questions, but the most important one was to ask him if he had already advanced to the Purple Mansion stage. Lin Changqing showed his cultivation in front of the clan members, and he didn't intend to hide it. At least it was limited in disclosure, which could bring great morale and confidence to the clan members. So he generously admitted that he had advanced to the Purple Mansion, but he didn't even mention that he was already at the 6th level of the Purple Mansion. However, it still attracted waves of cheers from the clan members, and even lifted him up and threw him into the air continuously. The clan members were so happy and enthusiastic, and Lin Changqing didn't want to spoil everyone's fun. After all, many of them were elders who watched him grow up, so he could only try his best to deal with them. Finally, the clan leader came forward to rescue him, and told Lin Changqing to go back and rest, and go to the main peak to talk to him in detail tomorrow morning. At this time, his mother, and sister and Muzio finally had the opportunity to get close to Lin Changqing. The most excited one was his sister Lin Changqing, who shouted, "Brother! I miss you so much." Then she jumped directly on his back and refused to get off. Lin Changqing had no choice but to touch her head to show that he knew. Muzio was more ladylike, but she was also very happy and smiling. If there weren't so many people, she would probably jump on him like Lin Changqing. Now he could only maintain his image, hold back his excitement, and whispered, "Brother Qing, you are finally back." Lin Changqing also knew that his disappearance had made his family worried, so he smiled and explained, "I'm back. I'm sorry for making you worry this time. I promise I won't do it again in the future." Of course, he said this to excuse himself, but the effect was not good. As soon as he finished speaking, his 2 ears were immediately hurt. His mother and aunt pinched one side each and twisted it hard. In fact, this action really did not hurt a third-level body cultivator at all, but he still cooperated and cried out in pain, and began to beg for mercy. Then he said, "Mother, aunt, please give me some face. After all, I am also a true cultivator of the Purple Mansion. If there's anything, let's go back and talk about it. Don't punish me here." As soon as Lin Changqing finished speaking, all the clansmen around him burst into laughter. His aunt and mother couldn't help laughing, so they let him go. Then Lin Changqing recalled the 2 spirit insects, and left Chuai, Chur and Chao Chu, 3 thunder spirit birds, to guard the mountain formation together. After that, the family passed through the mountain formation and returned to Lin Changqing's own small courtyard. Now in the living room, the 4 women stared at him straight, which was very much like a trial by 3 judges. However, what made Lin Changqing happy was that they were all already cultivators in the foundation building stage. Among them, the cultivation level of his sister and aunt was the same, both at the 5th level of foundation building. Lin Changqing was indeed a ground spirit root, and she almost surpassed her aunt. But his mother and Muzio were a little behind, and now they were both at the 3rd level of foundation building. However, Lin Changqing was back, and he had a lot of resources with him. I believe that their cultivation levels will soon advance by leaps and bounds. In the end, it was his mother who asked first, Kinger, where have you been for so many years? You didn't know how worried we were about you. Then his aunt also said, Kinger, what happened at that time? We heard from Ziya that the great-grandmother personally went out and searched all the places where you appeared, but there was no trace of you. If it weren't for the purple crystal scorpion you left in advance, which was alive and well, we might have thought you had fallen. Lin Changqing could only explain that because the secret space was broken, you passed through the space cracks and drifted to a distant place. But you did get some opportunities, and you rushed back recently. Lin Changqing avoided the main point and did not tell them about his drifting in other immortal cultivation worlds. It was not because he did not trust his family, but because this news was too important. If it was leaked, the Lin family and Lin Changqing would never have peace. So not letting them know was the best way to protect them. It took a lot of time to finally deal with the interrogation of the 4 women. He also took out the gifts he had prepared in advance and gave them to them. This was considered a real victory. At this time, Lin Changqing had the chance to ask, where are my grandfather, father, and Ziya? Did they respond to the call of King Insect to resist the beast tide? Do you know where they are assigned? I want to go and see them. At this time, the aunt chuckled and said, okay, I knew you would ask about their whereabouts, but don't worry. Our Lin family is lucky this time. Ziya's grandmother is in charge of guarding the Red Maple Fortress this time. Through some means, our Lin family's cultivators have been mobilized to her, so safety should be guaranteed. Besides, Ziya is also there, and Senior Chen will not let your grandfather and father get into trouble, so you don't have to worry too much. Chapter 752, Protecting the Family. Hearing his aunt say this, Lin Changqing felt a little relieved. After all, Ziya's grandmother, Chen Qiai, was very familiar with him. Since she was indeed an elder who could be trusted, Lin Changqing didn't need to be so anxious and could postpone going there. He already had a preliminary plan, at least to clean up the relatively concentrated group of monsters within the family. At least most of the monsters above the 2nd level should be killed to prevent them from besieging Jiufeng Mountain again. In this way, he would have no worries and could set off to Hongfeng Fortress with confidence. Thinking of the number of monsters he saw along the way, he couldn't help asking, why do I feel that the scale of the beast tide this time is much larger than the last time? Is there any explanation? Several women looked at each other and shook their heads. Obviously, they didn't know the reason for the huge scale of the beast tide this time, so they couldn't give Lin Changqing an answer. The family chatted for several hours. Mainly the mother and aunt asked Lin Changqing about some of his experiences and what happened in the family during this period. When the time was almost up, the mother and aunt went back to prepare spiritual food, especially Lin Changqing's favorite 8 treasure chicken soup. This is what he specifically mentioned just now. For more than 10 years, he has missed the chicken soup made by his mother very much. This time he can finally drink it. Including his sister Lin Changqing, she was also taken away by his mother and aunt. She originally wanted to stay here because she had a lot of things to say to her brother who loved her the most. But in the end, she couldn't get rid of the 2 elders and was taken away unwillingly. This time, only Lin Changqing and Ziya Oxio were left in the yard. He also knew that the 2 elders left them some private time. It proved that Ziya Oxio should have performed very well after coming to the Lin family. At least her mother and aunt agreed with her very much. At this time, Ziya Oxio could of course see that the 2 elders left space for her. So she smiled and came over to sit in Lin Changqing's arms, then hugged his neck and asked, Brother Qing, you have been away for so long, have you found new sisters for us? Lin Changqing was deeply impressed by the passionate Ziya Oxio, or he still remembered it clearly. At that time, the first time, it left him with an unforgettable memory, although she was so tired that she didn't want to move at the end. But Lin Changqing really had never forgotten her. That night, she said that she would make Lin Changqing remember her forever, and it seemed that she really did it. And this little goblin was now sitting in his arms, asking this kind of a question again. Lin Changqing didn't know how to answer. It's impossible to say that they really found another sister, and the sister got pregnant 1 step earlier than them. So the words that can't be said can only be expressed in specific actions. The most direct and effective way, of course, is sleep suit. Lin Changqing took her back to the room directly, and then started a fierce offensive and defensive battle. More than an hour later, when the 2 came out, Ziya Oxio's face was flushed, and it didn't go away for a long time. After the family went to their mother's place and finished the spiritual meal, Lin Changqing and Mu Xiaoxiao went back to continue fighting. As for Li Xiangting's matter, they had to find an opportunity outside to bring her back. And they also had to tell her to keep the secret of the inner space for the time being to avoid causing unnecessary trouble. The next morning, Lin Changqing finished his basic training and went to the clan leader's cave. He had been here many times and was familiar with it. At this time, the clan leader had already prepared the spiritual tea and was waiting for him to come. Yesterday, Lin Changqing had discovered that the clan leader was now in the great perfection of the foundation building. After a period of polishing, he should be able to try to advance. However, thinking of the horror of the thunder tribulation, maybe at that time, he might need to lend a few third-level defense magic weapons to the clan leader to ensure that he can successfully pass the thunder tribulation. After 3 rounds of tea, the clan leader asked, "Kinger, I feel that your aura is heavy and stable. I know that you must be in the purple mansion period, but I don't know which level you have cultivated to, so what is your current level?" Faced with the clan leader's inquiry, Lin Changqing did not hide it. After all, his cultivation should be the highest in the Lin family now. So no matter what, the clan leader must know, so he said, "My grandson got some opportunities by chance, and now he has reached the 6th level of the purple mansion." When the clan leader heard this, he immediately opened his eyes wide. Lin Changqing's answer was really beyond his expectations, and he couldn't believe it. Seeing him like this, Lin Changqing stopped hiding and directly stopped the heavenly clothes hidden spirit technique, releasing all his aura, allowing the clan leader to sense it carefully. After a while, the clan leader said, "I feel that your aura is much stronger than that of Senior Chen Jiai." Lin Changqing didn't know how to answer this question. He couldn't say that he was too powerful. The clan leader's feeling was a bit similar to the intuition of a cultivator. To be honest, ordinary purple mansion cultivators, if they didn't have outstanding skills, would be dead against Lin Changqing. Even a giant cultivator had been killed by him. He thought for a while, and finally said tactfully, "With my strength, it should not be a problem to deal with 3 or 5 third-level monsters like yesterday at the same time." When he said this, the clan leader knew what was going on, and he could no longer suppress the smile on his face. After all, the Lin family had Lin Changqing. As long as he didn't commit suicide, he could protect the family for at least 300 or 400 years. At this time, he was relieved. It can be said that the burden on his shoulders was suddenly much lighter. So he couldn't help laughing anymore, and even a few tears flashed in his eyes. After laughing to his heart's content, the clan leader sighed, "Good. Good. Good. It's really great. The Lin family has finally become strong in your generation. If I die in the future, I will have the face to meet my ancestors." Lin Changqing felt that the clan leader was exaggerating, so he just smiled modestly and didn't say anything. Suddenly the clan leader thought of how Lin Changqing killed so many monsters yesterday, so he said, "Kinger, I have packed up your spoils from yesterday, including the corpse of the 3rd-level monster bird, which has been preliminarily dealt with. Do you want to take these spiritual materials back yourself, or do you want the family to exchange them for cultivation resources for you?" To be honest, Lin Changqing no longer cares about those things now, so it's better to give them all to the family. Chapter 753 Red Maple Crisis. So he said, "Patriarch, those things are no longer of any use to me. So there is no need to bother with them. I decided to give them all to the family to train more clan members. As for the monster meat, you have to leave some for me. After all, I have so many spirit insects and spirit pets, and the consumption is still quite large." The patriarch listened and did not postpone, but just nodded. Now he was happy and sad. Lin Changqing has grown to this point, and the family can no longer help him. Instead, it may drag him down. But there is no way. As a cultivator of the family, Lin Changqing has to shoulder this responsibility. At most, I will try my best to help him share some of the burden in the future. Having said so much, in fact, in the patriarch's heart, it was just a matter of a moment. He did not argue with Lin Changqing, but continued, "I will ask them to keep the monster meat for you. But there is another problem. Now you are the highest level member of the Lin family. So you should shoulder the responsibility." Lin Changqing was a little puzzled and asked quickly, "Patriarch, what do you mean by this?" The patriarch smiled and said, "What I mean is that I am going to abdicate and you will be the patriarch in the future." Lin Changqing was stunned when he heard this. He did not expect that the patriarch would give him such a heavy burden as soon as he came back. But in his heart, he didn't want to bear this burden, So he quickly refused and said, "Patriarch, I can't do this position. And the family has always been led by you. I'm sure I can't do better than you, so you should continue to be the patriarch. If there is anything that needs my help in the future, just tell me as much as you can. Anyway, I can't be the patriarch." The patriarch rolled his eyes and said, "It's useless no matter what you say. After the beast-tide is over, I will call all the elders back for a public election. I believe that by then, the position of patriarch will definitely belong to you. Besides, my cultivation is now perfect in the foundation building. If I don't give you the position of patriarch, I will definitely keep it in my mind, which will definitely have a very negative impact on my promotion to the Purple Mansion. So you should be prepared early and don't refuse it anymore." Hearing the patriarch say this, Lin Changqing was speechless for a moment, as if he would fail to advance if he didn't take over this position. But after the patriarch finished speaking, he also knew that it would take some time to give him a process of acceptance, so he drove Lin Changqing out. After leaving the clan leader's cave, Lin Changqing was still a little dizzy. To be honest, he really didn't want to accept this burden. But now it seems that he has no choice but to accept it. In the end, he simply decided not to think about it. He went out first and swept all the large-scale monster groups within a few hundred miles of Jiufeng Mountain. So he returned to his yard, talked to Mu Xiaoxiao, and then left Jiufeng Mountain. He took Chuai, Chuer, and Chao Chu, plus 2 kinds of spiritual insects, and began to kill. It took 10 days to sweep the area of 2,000 miles around Jiufeng Mountain several times. So that later, although there were still many monsters in other places, few monsters dared to step into this area again. And all the spoils, Lin Changqing gave to the family. It can be said that the Lin family did not suffer much loss in this beast tide, but gained a lot. Now that Jiufeng Mountain has settled down, Lin Changqing decided to go to Hongfeng Fortress to take a look. He was still very worried. Grandpa, father, and Chen Ziyi did not distrust senior Chen Jiyi. They were just worried about the strength of the beast tide this time. You know, there was also a precedent of the entire fortress being breached in the past. So no matter what, he had to go and see it with his own eyes to confirm the safety of his relatives and Taoist companions. After the consent of the clan leader, his mother, and his aunt, Lin Changqing set off. Of course, he also kept a hand and left one of the concentric snails he got in the Xinghe realm to Mu Xiaoxiao. And taking the opportunity to clear the monsters outside Jiufeng Mountain, he left 3 space beacons nearby. If there is danger here in Jiufeng Mountain, he can rush back in a short time. So after making these arrangements, he set off with confidence. He had been to the Red Maple Fortress once, so he naturally knew where it was. In addition, his flying speed increased dramatically, so it only took him 3 days to reach the periphery of the fortress. This is the Red Maple Forest that he is very familiar with, and the scenery is still so beautiful. But at this time, the situation of the Red Maple Fortress is a bit bad, surrounded by at least millions of monsters. The whole scene was in chaos. There were monsters in the sky and on the ground, attacking the defensive formation of the fortress. The hisses of various monsters, the roar of spells, the whistling of magic weapons, and the screams of monsters or monks when they died intertwined into a bloody scene. Although he himself had experienced 2 beast tides, he still felt a little uncomfortable watching the battle from outside. Lin Changqing roughly estimated that there were at least nearly 10,000 second-level monsters here. And more than that, he fully opened his spiritual sense and found that there were at least 10 or more third-level monsters in this area, near or far. It's just that most of them were very smart to hide and didn't expose themselves directly, as if they were waiting for an opportunity. But the good news is that Lin Changqing has not yet found a 4th-level monster, which makes him feel a lot more at ease. In fact, because of the area occupied by the fortress, it is impossible for millions of monsters to rush in all at once. So although the pressure on the fortress is huge, it can still be barely maintained now. Lin Changqing knew that he must take action, otherwise there was a great possibility that this place would not be able to be defended, but he wanted to find the best time to take action. According to his expectations, at least a few third-level monsters must be killed to deter this huge group of monsters. Although he was waiting for an opportunity, it did not prevent him from looking for the figure of the Lin family monk. Sure enough, after turning around for most of the circle, Lin Changqing found the figures of his grandfather, father, Chen Ziyi, and many familiar uncles and brothers on a section of the city wall. Their situation was not bad. Although many people were injured, the number of people did not decrease too much. Of course, it was mainly due to the care of Chen Jie, and the 36 purple crystal scorpions controlled by Chen Zhiya, which assisted in the rescue. Compared with other families, the situation of the Lin family was really much better. So Lin Changqing was not in a hurry now. Chapter 754, Thunderous Power. However, as soon as Lin Changqing approached, the 36 amethyst scorpions controlled by Chen Zhiya naturally sensed his breath. They all became excited and almost broke free from her control and flew towards him. It was only when Lin Changqing gave them orders to continue to obey Chen Zhiya's command that they became obedient. However, as a controller, Chen Zhiya had been with the amethyst scorpions for more than 10 or 20 years, and she immediately realized something. However, the battlefield was very chaotic now, and there were overwhelming monsters outside. She didn't dare to think that Lin Changqing would suddenly appear here. And it was too dangerous outside the fortress. Appearing outside at this time was no different from seeking death. So Chen Zhiya still suppressed all the sudden thoughts and continued to control the amethyst scorpions to assist in the defense of the defense area in charge of the Lin family. She thought that she missed Lin Changqing too much just now, which caused this illusion. At this time, the beast tide seemed to have received an order and suddenly increased the intensity of its attack. In addition, 2 wolf demons that were obviously level 3 suddenly appeared in the front and back directions, and they seemed to want to participate in the attack on the defense array of the fortress. This might be the last straw that broke the camel's back for the defense array, so 2 figures also rushed out of the red maple fortress. They tried to stop the 2 wolf demons. One of them was someone Lin Changqing was very familiar with, Chen Zhiya's grandmother Chen Jie. Lin Changqing didn't recognize the other one, but judging from his clothes, he should also be a cultivator from the Qinghai sect at this time. They had already fought. Lin Changqing saw the intentions of the 2 people, and it was obvious that they wanted to lead the 2 level 3 monsters away. Unfortunately, their calculations were too good, and they obviously underestimated the wisdom of the level 3 monsters. Just when they led the 2 level 3 monsters away for a distance, they actually fell into the trap of the level 3 monsters in disguise. Lin Changqing was worried that they were in danger. He ignored the danger of being exposed and directly used the loudspeaker to shout, "There is a trap there, don't go over there." Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, the situation on the field suddenly changed dramatically. The 3rd level monsters hidden in the beast tide suddenly appeared and attacked directly. Moreover, as soon as these hidden 3rd level monsters appeared, Lin Changqing immediately identified them. All 10 of them were the same monster, the Shadow Bloody Scorpion, which is a kind of monster that lives in groups and has the dual attributes of yin and poison. The whole body is dark red and has a strong stealth ability. It is considered a very famous yin monster in the world of immortal cultivation. Fortunately, Lin Changqing's reminder also gave Chen Jie and the others 1 or 2 breaths of time to react. So although they were stunned for a moment, their first reaction was to retreat and activate a defensive magic weapon again. At this time, 5 dark green rays shot towards Chen Jie, 4 of which were blocked by her 2 defensive magic weapons. Only the 5th ray actually hit Chen Jie's body. Lin Changqing clearly saw that her figure paused for a moment. Then he turned around and rushed towards the fortress desperately, but at this time, the wolf demon who had just fought with her attacked her desperately, obviously trying to hold her back. Fortunately, at this time, Lin Changqing's attack also arrived. He had actually prepared for it long ago, but those shadow bloody scorpions could be invisible, and there were countless low-level monsters as cover. So he had no way to lock them, and even if he killed 1 or 2, it would not have much effect, and it would immediately alert the enemy. Lin Changqing had been waiting for the opportunity, and now they jumped out by themselves. Such a rare opportunity, he would definitely not let it go. So the moment the divine consciousness locked, all 108 combined divine thunders in the gathering spirit pool were blasted out without hesitation. Boom, boom, boom. For a time, the earth-shaking thunder sounded throughout the battlefield. And the results achieved can also be said to be world-renowned. 12 third-level monsters were all killed by the combined divine thunder. Because on average, each monster beast needs to withstand 8 or 9 combined divine thunders, and they have no chance of survival. The sudden change on the battlefield seemed to make both sides of the battle pause for a while, and then inside the Red Maple Fortress, there was an earth-shaking cheer, and it continued. No one was stupid at this time. The situation just now suddenly worsened, and the two high-level monks who were guarding were attacked. Fortunately, someone reminded them, and they turned the situation around in an instant, killing many third-level monster beasts with one child. This gave great encouragement to the monks stationed here. At least in their opinion, the people who came to help were powerful and could better guard the fortress. After Lin Changqing made his move, he also put away the light gauze magic weapon on his body and revealed his figure. He was wearing a green Taoist robe, and his body was covered by a transparent black and white light cover. He held the Thunder Body Refining Tower in his hand, which was dazzling on the entire battlefield. At this time, whether it was monster beasts or human monks, they all looked at him. Then inside the fortress, there was another earth-shaking cheer. It was not known whether it was Lin Changqing's illusion, but he seemed to feel that his people shouted louder and happier than others. And these cheers were like signals, and the monsters in front of the fortress began to feel the deadly danger brought by the high-level monks. So they turned around and fled without hesitation, and all their third-level monsters were killed. Without the control of the high-level monsters, the battlefield suddenly became chaotic, more than 10 times more chaotic than before. It can be said that the monsters trampled on each other in order to escape, and even attacked their own kind who blocked their departure. The monks stationed in the Red Maple Fortress did not miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and rushed out of the formation immediately. This further intensified the retreat of the beast tide, and Lin Changqing's full attention was on the Lin family monks at this time. They were not far away from them, protecting them, and only when they were in danger would they take action. But this pursuit did not last long. About 50 miles away, someone notified everyone to return to defense. And Lin Changqing also returned to the Lin family's defense area with his family members. All of a sudden, he was surrounded by his uncles and brothers, who hugged and cheered him with great enthusiasm. If he was not a third-level physical cultivator, he would have doubted whether he would be torn into pieces by the enthusiastic tribesmen. Even Lin Changqing's grandfather, father, and Chen Ziya, his real relatives, could not get close to him at this time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 755, Survival from Despair. Moreover, the noise was getting louder and louder, including the monks from several nearby families, all gathered around and cheered together. In the end, more than half of the monks in the entire fortress gathered in the Lin family's defense area. But it was too exaggerated, forcing the monks from the Qingyuan sect's garrison to come forward and calm the situation down. Everyone was driven back to their own defense area, and Lin Changqing was free. He was just about to have a good talk with his relatives and report the situation of Jiufeng Mountain. The monk from the garrison said very respectfully, "Senior, Uncle Chen invites you and Sister Chen to meet." Lin Changqing nodded. He knew that there would definitely be this link, whether it was himself or others, they were so powerful. As long as the high-level monks in charge of guarding the fortress were not stupid, they would definitely try their best to keep him here to help guard. Chen Ziya asked worriedly, "Junior brother Song, how is my grandmother? I just saw her and she seemed to be injured. I wonder if it's serious." The cultivator in the garrison shook his head and did not answer her question. He just said, "Go over quickly. Uncle Chen is waiting for you in the garrison." Hearing his urging, Lin Changqing's heart moved and he had a bad feeling. So he quickly told his grandfather and father, and then took Chen Ziya and flew to the garrison quickly. On the way, Chen Ziya said to him worriedly, "Brother Qing, what should we do? Will my grandmother be in trouble?" Lin Changqing quickly comforted him, "It's okay, don't worry, Qingyuan sect will definitely prepare high-level detoxification and healing pills. Don't think too much, let's go see your grandmother first, and we will know what the situation is." Chen Ziya nodded. Originally, it was a very happy thing for Lin Changqing to return to her side. But now that her grandmother who loved her the most was injured, she really couldn't be happy. The two arrived at the garrison, but Chen Jiai did not wait for them in the hall as before. Instead, one of her female disciples named Li took the two to practice room. At this time, more than a dozen disciples brought by Chen Jiai had gathered outside the practice room. Seeing this situation, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya realized that Chen Jiai's injury should be a bit serious. So Chen Ziya's eyes immediately turned red and her throat choked up. Lin Changqing hurriedly comforted her. Then the two of them hurried into the practice room. At this time, Chen Jie was sitting cross-legged on a cushion, looking at the two of them with a smile on her face. But seeing a layer of light black air on her face, Lin Changqing knew that there must be trouble. Chen Jie couldn't help it and burst into tears. Kit Chen said calmly and carefully, "Silly child, what is there to cry about? Grandmother is not dead yet, it's too early for you to cry now. But Kinger, you are finally back. Xiao has often gone out to look for you over the past 10 years, and she has suffered a lot going back and forth. So you must treat her well in the future, okay?" Hearing what her grandmother said, Chen Jie's tears could not be stopped anymore, and they kept flowing down. Lin Changqing quickly asked, "Grandma, I know, don't worry. I will love her well in the future. But what's the matter with your injury? I saw it at that time. Even if you were injured, it shouldn't be that serious, right? Or is there any other explanation here?" Chen Jie shook her head and sighed. "Junior sister Lu and I were careless this time. We were both hit by the Shadow Crimson Scorpion's life poison needle. The sect also has the detoxification pills we prepared ourselves, which can't be solved at all. This special life toxin can only play a slight inhibitory effect. So junior sister Lu and I don't have much time. That's why we have to call back all the garrison monks to avoid too many casualties, and the Red Maple Fortress can't be defended. So after we die, you have to guard here. We have explained it clearly in advance. Zia knows most of junior sister Lu and I's disciples, so let her assist you in commanding. Fortunately, you are strong now and can definitely complete the task of guarding the Red Maple Fortress." When Lin Changqing heard this, his brows furrowed. He actually became the guardian of the Red Maple Fortress. That was a big responsibility. Chen Jie didn't want to listen, and didn't care about other things. She asked directly, "Grandma, this life-threatening poison needle is really that powerful? Is there no other way to think about it?" Chen Jie shook her head and said, "Silly child, if you can live, who doesn't want to live well? I still want to take a glimpse of the Golden Elixir Road. But there is really no way, even if there is, it's too late. Unless you can find a detoxifying spiritual object with extremely yin or extremely yang attributes immediately, there is no way at all. And now the yin poison in my body can no longer be suppressed and has begun to corrode my internal organs. So let's not waste time. Before I die, I have something to tell you." When Chen Jie heard this, she couldn't hold on any longer, and fell directly on Chen Jie, crying in disarray. Lin Changqing's heart moved. When Chen Jie said this, he immediately thought of the lotus seeds of the 3 in black nether lotus in his hand. He remembered very clearly that the 1,000 lotuses illustrated said that this thing was specifically used to remove poison. So he quickly said, "Grandma, I have a 3rd grade top grade spiritual object that is specifically used to remove poison. You should try it quickly." After that, he immediately took out a black lotus seed from the spiritual beast bracelet and handed it to her. Hearing his affirmation, Chen Jie and Chen Jie rekindled some hope. Afterwards, Chen Jie did not dare to delay and immediately swallowed the whole lotus seed, and desperately used her magic power to speed up the refining process. About a quarter of an hour later, she opened her mouth and spit out more a ball of black liquid, which was directly burned by Lin Changqing using the fireball technique. Then Chen Jie said hurriedly, "Kinger, hurry up, this thing is very effective. Do you have any more? If you do, send one to junior sister Lu next door, otherwise she will be beyond help." Lin Changqing nodded when he heard this. It was a good deal to use a 3rd-level spiritual object to make the Purple Mansion cultivator of Qingyuan sect owe him a big favor. So he immediately turned around and left the practice room. He went outside and found the female disciple surnamed Li who had brought him in just now. He asked her to take him to the practice room not far away, where there were also several disciples of Qingyuan sect. Chapter 756, Fame Spreads Far and Wide. Lin Changqing quickly explained the situation, then went in and handed a lotus seed of the black nether lotus to that junior sister Lu. Her situation was much more serious than that of Chen Jie. The black energy on her face was already very obvious, and she almost turned black. At this time, she was taking the time to explain the aftermath to a few close disciples, but she didn't expect that Lin Changqing's appearance would save her life. It can be said that she was saved from a desperate situation, so she was really grateful to Lin Changqing, and she was almost willing to give herself to him. After seeing her take the lotus seed, Lin Changqing knew that she should be fine, so he didn't stay here. Anyway, Because of what happened today, everyone in the entire Red Maple Fortress should know him, and no one dared to stop him from leaving. Back to Chen Jie, she was continuing to detoxify, and Chen Jie had already left the practice room. Now she was outside the door, protecting her grandmother. When she saw Lin Changqing, she couldn't help it anymore, and threw herself into his arms regardless of anything. He could understand her current mood. Her grandmother, who loved her the most, almost left her. She was completely devastated. Fortunately, Lin Changqing gave them a big surprise, which finally avoided this tragedy. The two hugged each other quietly for a long time. When they heard the laughter of the sisters around them, Chen Jie let him go embarrassedly. Then she said with a smile, "Brother Qing, it's a good thing that you are here this time, otherwise I don't know what to do. However, shouldn't you give me an explanation? Where have you been for the past 10 years? I have searched the tens of millions of miles where you last appeared, but there is no clue at all. Tell the truth quickly, are you bewitched by that vixen?" When Lin Changqing heard this, he became embarrassed instantly. He did bring back a Taoist partner, and she was already 6 or 7 months pregnant. However, there were so many people around, and it was not the right time to talk about business, so he could only say with a smile, "Things are too complicated, let's talk about it in private. Anyway, I am lucky to be able to come back this time. I will tell you the details slowly when I get back. Chen Jie has experienced a lot in the past 10 years, and naturally she has matured a lot." Knowing that this is not the place to talk, he nodded and said, "Okay. Let's let you go for now. If you can't satisfy us, Zion Oxio and I will not let you go." Lin Changqing could only agree with a smile. He also felt that Chen Jie was indeed more mature than before. This made him both relieved and sad. During the time when he was lost in the Star Sea realm, Chen Jie must have experienced a lot of things to become so mature. This also proved in disguise that he did not protect her well, and he felt a little ashamed in his heart. Fortunately, at least in these years, her cultivation has not fallen behind, and now she is at the 6th level of foundation building. So he took out all the gifts he had prepared long ago and gave them to her. The main thing was 2 jade slips of the Immortal inheritance, both of which were 4th level inheritances, which were obtained from Wei Lichen. Another part was the vermilion fruit wine and earth milk spiritual liquid, which were spiritual objects that could improve cultivation. After Chen Jie happily accepted them, she smiled and said, "I will stay here to protect my grandmother. I will leave the family to you to take care of." Lin Changqing nodded. He knew that Chen Jie must be worried about her grandmother at this time. So it was not surprising that she stayed here to protect the law. So for safety reasons, Lin Changqing left 2 more lotus seeds of the black nether lotus before leaving the garrison. Those who came back, as long as they saw Lin Changqing's cultivators, would greet him very respectfully. On the way back, at least hundreds of people shouted, "Junior so-and-so, meet Senior Lin." Lin Changqing tried to respond at first, but later when more people shouted, he just smiled and nodded, which was considered a response. When he returned to the Lin family's defense zone, he felt more tired than after a big battle. It seemed that being too famous was also a burden. However, since Lin Changqing killed 12 third-level monsters at one time, he was destined to not be able to keep a low profile. It was only a matter of time before his name spread to Qinghai. After all, with his strength, he can really be said to be the number 1 person below the golden collar. For him, ordinary purple mansion cultivators are just a below. So it is very normal for others to come and say hello to him and get to know him. Now the monsters in the Red Maple Fortress are still dozens of miles away and dare not come over for the time being, so there is nothing happening on the city wall. So Lin Changqing made a rough inspection and arranged for half of the cultivators to go back and rest after confirming that there would be no danger in the short term. He himself, his grandfather and his father returned to the station assigned to the Lin family. At this time, the 3 grandfathers and grandchildren were already sitting together. Lin Changqing was the youngest and took the initiative to make tea for everyone. After drinking a few cups, Grandpa asked, "Tell me, kid, where have you been for the past 10 years? Of course, you can only tell us what you can tell, and don't let us know what you can't tell us." Lin Changqing nodded, moderated the conversation a little, and then said, "It all started that day when I met." Lin Changqing replaced the Xinghe realm with an unknown land, hiding some of the more important secrets. After that, he took out the gifts he had prepared long ago and gave them to Grandpa and Father. Their gifts were mainly top-grade attack and defense spiritual tools, as well as Hugo wine and earth milk spiritual liquid, which were cultivation resources. Now Grandpa is at the 8th level of foundation building, and Father is at the 3rd level of foundation building. These things are just right. However, Father's focus was obviously not on these, but he couldn't help asking, Kinger, what's the matter with the divine thunder you just cast? Why is it so powerful? Grandpa nodded. Obviously he also wanted to know the answer to this question. Even if they didn't ask, Lin Changqing would tell them, so he said, this matter is a little complicated. When I practiced a Thunder Sutra to the 109th Thunder Acupoint, it seemed that I broke through a layer of barrier. After that, I felt that my body was very eager for thunder energy, so I kept replenishing it, and even swallowed some precious 3rd level thunder fruit. In the end, a top-grade thunder root actually grew in my body. What? How is it possible? After hearing this, both grandfather and father stood up in surprise. You know, it is very difficult to grow spiritual roots the day after tomorrow. Chapter 757, Uncle's Joy. So you can imagine how shocking this news was to the two of them. After giving them some time to digest it, Lin Changqing continued, I have brought back some thunder fruits. When the time comes, you can try to see if you can grow thunder spiritual roots. If it really works, this secret must be listed as the top secret of our family. Grandpa and Father nodded seriously. This is absolute. If the secret is leaked, the Lin family may be in great trouble. At this time, Grandpa said, now there are only 5 of us in the family who have practiced a Thunder Sutra. What I mean is that in the future, each generation will cultivate 1 or 2 younger generations with thunder spiritual roots. More will be too conspicuous. Father hesitated for a moment, but still nodded in agreement. Lin Changqing felt that Grandpa was too cautious, but he did not object openly. Let's see the specific situation at that time. Then Lin Changqing suddenly thought that now that he had thunder spiritual roots, he no longer needed those thunder-attributed spiritual tools to suppress the acupoints. So he simply took out more than 100 spiritual tools from the acupoints and gave them to his grandfather to arrange. There are many powerful spiritual tools among them, which can at least increase the strength of grandfather and father by more than double, but they cannot be exposed casually. However, after Grandpa got them, he only gave about a quarter of the spiritual tools to his father. It seems that the rest should be prepared to be divided among his second uncle and aunt. Lin Changqing suddenly thought that he seemed to have not seen his second uncle for nearly 20 years. So he hurriedly asked, Grandpa, how is my second uncle now? Unexpectedly, when Grandpa and Father heard it, they all laughed, and then his father explained, your second uncle is doing well now, you don't have to worry. The family arranged a secret mission for him, and he didn't forget to expand the family. Now you have 2 more brothers and sisters, you must prepare the meeting gifts first. But they are still young, and they are still with your second uncle and aunt for the time being. If your brothers and sisters have spiritual roots in the future, they will be sent back to Jiufeng Mountain. Lin Changqing was overjoyed when he heard this. The son and daughter of his second uncle are his cousins. The relationship with them is the closest, so it is indeed necessary to prepare a gift in advance. He just didn't expect that his second uncle had said before that he wanted Lin Changqing to take care of him in his old age and to see him off to the end of his life, but now he already has a group of children. He didn't know how this second aunt, who he hadn't met yet, managed his second uncle. Lin Changqing was very curious. But his father also said that his second uncle was ordered to carry out a secret mission, so Lin Changqing didn't ask in detail. He would definitely know it later. But since it came to this, Lin Changqing also said that he had brought a Taoist partner back and that she was pregnant. He was immediately criticized mercilessly by his grandfather and father, mainly saying that he was sorry for Chen Ziya and his great-grandmother. After his explanation, the two reluctantly accepted Li Xiangting, but asked him to appease Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao. To be honest, if Lin Changqing was not their favorite eldest son and grandson, they would probably have been beaten up by them. But after saying it, Lin Changqing felt much more comfortable, at least they would not explode against him together in the future. After enduring this wave of attacks, Lin Changqing immediately slipped away and returned to the room assigned to him. For the next half-month, Lin Changqing was in charge of the Red Maple Fortress, but he did not encounter much danger. Anyway, as long as he found a third-level monster, he would immediately use the combined Divine Thunder to directly kill the target. Every time he took action, after the thunder sounded, the entire fortress would be a sea of cheers. Later, third-level monsters rarely came to this area. So this half-month can be said to be really safe and sound. and he controlled the rhythm of the entire battlefield alone. In addition to some elite disciples of the Qingyuan sect as mobile forces, if there is really no resistance, he will also release the purple crystal scorpion to control the situation. So until the real guard Chen Jie came out of retreat, the Red Maple Fortress did not suffer much loss. After handing over the responsibility of guarding, Lin Changqing felt much more relaxed, but although Chen Jie came out of retreat, she basically would not take action. Because she has a powerful grandson-in-law, she will send Lin Changqing to solve any problems. However, Lin Changqing was also very willing to help. He killed a third-level monster, and the contribution points he gained were almost enough to exchange for a foundation-building pill in Qingyuan sect. With these foundation-building pills, the Lin family could explain the fact that there would be more foundation-building cultivators in the future. Just like this, more than a month passed before that junior sister Lu finally came out of retreat. After all, her condition at that time was much more serious than Chen Jie's. It was already very impressive that she could recover in a month and a half. Fortunately, she still remembered who her savior was. After coming out of retreat, she invited Lin Changqing to meet her through Chen Jie. It was not until this time that Lin Changqing knew her name was Lu Lingxi. The two sides communicated very happily. In the end, she left a token, telling the Lin family that if they needed any help, they could go to her. After that, Lin Changqing stayed in Hongfeng Fortress for more than 3 months, and this beast tide finally ended. In fact, Lin Changqing was still quite worried. He was afraid that if he performed too well, he would attract a 4th-level monster. Fortunately, until the end of the beast tide, no 4th-level monsters appeared here. Later, after Chen Jie explained, Lin Changqing knew that Qingyuan sect had special people responsible for blocking 4th and 5th-level monsters. In this way, the intensity of the battle can be controlled within the range that the defense chain can withstand. Sure enough, only after reaching a certain level can you know the corresponding news. Fortunately, it is finally over. This time, Lin Changqing's accumulated contribution points are almost enough to exchange for more than 30 foundation-building pills. This makes other family cultivators envious. In the end, Chen Jie and Lu Lingxi came forward to coordinate and exchanged a total of 40 foundation-building pills for the Lin family. This made all the key refining cultivators in the Lin family boil in an instant. With so many foundation-building pills, many clansmen have the opportunity to build a foundation. So privately, many familiar uncles and brothers came to Lin Changqing for help, all wanting to get a foundation-building pill from him. It made him a headache, and in the end it was really annoying. He announced directly to everyone that the foundation establishment pills could not be distributed now, and that the clan leader would make all arrangements after returning to the family. Only then did everyone calm down. Chapter 758 Confession. Moreover, many people knew that he had a huge amount of foundation-building pills, so Lin Changqing did not dare to stay outside for too long. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he used a magic weapon-level treasure ship to send all the clan members back to Jiufeng Mountain. And after handing all 40 foundation-building pills to the clan leader, he slipped away. After returning to the family, Lin Changqing felt much more relaxed, but in fact, he did not relax for long. Only half a day later, many clan members came to visit together, all of whom were uncles and brothers who were familiar with each other before. Everyone mainly heard the propaganda of the clan members who came back from Hongfeng Fortress, and then they knew that Lin Changqing was more powerful than they thought. So this time, they all ran to him to see the wonder. Fortunately, he had 2 Taoist companions, Chen Ziya and Mu Zia Oxeo, to help greet these uncles and brothers, and finally he was able to cope with it. And he himself was responsible for chatting with everyone, in fact, answering some of their questions. Of course, there were also people who were curious about Lin Changqing's experience, but he dealt with them all with a little chance and adventure. The 3 of them worked for several hours before they finally sent the guests away. Then they rushed to their parents' yard and had a meal together. It was a reunion, but unfortunately, the second uncle's family was missing. But apart from anything else, with the addition of Lin Changqing's 2 Taoist companions, the house felt much more lively. The happiest one was his sister Lin Changqing. With 2 sisters-in-law accompanying and loving her, the 3 of them often stayed together, which made them happier than before. However, Grandpa and Father did not give Lin Changqing a good look, but Mother and Aunt were a little puzzled, not knowing what happened. After everyone finished the spiritual meal and several people shared their experiences in the Red Maple Fortress, Lin Changqing returned to his yard with his two Taoist companions. After considering this period of time, Lin Changqing decided to take this opportunity to confess to them that Li Xiangting had a child. Otherwise, it would not be a solution to drag it on like this. If this problem is not completely solved, it is estimated that his father and grandfather will not look at him well in the future. So the three of them returned to their own yard with a bit of a weird atmosphere. The three of them sat in the pavilion, drinking the kindling tea brewed by Chen Ziya. Lin Changqing hadn't felt the aroma of this tea for a long time. So for a moment, he was a little dazed and didn't speak immediately. At this time, Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao both blushed a little, obviously thinking of something unspeakable. In the end, Mu Xiaoxiao spoke first. "Why don't we let him go to his sister tonight?" Chen Ziya shook her head and said, "We just came back from the Red Maple Fortress together, let him go to his sister first." At this time, Lin Changqing realized that this was the case and couldn't help laughing. But when he thought of Li Xiangting and the child, he couldn't laugh anymore. According to the time calculation, the child should have been born now. It's just that he doesn't know whether it's a boy or a girl. He has been stationed in the Red Maple Fortress and has no chance to go into the inner space to take a look. Now he has to confess to the two of them again. Lin Changqing doesn't know how they will react and what the consequences will be in the end. But there is no way, it's impossible to delay it anymore. After all, the child is born. So he bit the bullet and said with a forced smile, "Yeah, Xiaoxiao, you don't need to discuss this issue for now. I have something to tell you." When the two girls heard it, they looked at each other and felt that something was wrong. Then Chen Ziya spoke first. "If you have anything to say, just tell me directly. You are not going to bring us another sister, are you?" Mu Xiaoxiao looked at him up and down with a smile on her face, and then said, "You are not going to tell us that you even have a child, are you?" When Lin Changqing heard it, he was really stunned. He didn't expect that they could guess it like this. It was simply too unreasonable. However, in order to solve this problem, he still went all out and admitted, "Yes, you guess it all. What, is there really another sister?" After the two were surprised, Chen Ziya didn't say anything, obviously a little unhappy. Mu Xiaoxiao was better, and she was naughty and blinked at Lin Changqing, obviously not so resistant. Anyway, they were a bit gloating, with an expression that looked like they were ready to see how Lin Changqing would explain. Seeing the two people like this, Lin Changqing could only continue. "I fell into a space crack and came to that place. I thought I would never come back in this life, so I joined a sect there. Later, when I entered the inner gate, a senior uncle whom I respected very much introduced me to a very good cave. But the premise is that I must protect the family members of the original cave owner. Later, I saw that cave, which is close to the 4th level spiritual vein, and it is really very good, so I agreed. But later, in order to make the two of them accept Li Xiangting, Lin Changqing could only tell them the story of the two of them from beginning to end. After they heard that Li Xiangting was a special spirit body that could help Lin Changqing advance to the golden core, the two people's faces were obviously much better. There was even a little smile on their faces. But when it came to the fact that Li Xiangting already had a child, the two glared at him fiercely. After he finished speaking, he was relieved. Anyway, he had confessed everything at once. It was up to Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao to decide whether to kill or cut him. Although it was true that he felt sorry for Chen Ziya, there was no other way. This matter had to be resolved. After hearing the end, Chen Ziya sighed softly, and then asked, "So, you haven't seen the children yet? Where are they now?" Lin Changqing said the name of a market town is planned. After hearing it, the two did not say anything, and then Chen Ziya took Mu Xiaoxiao and left directly. No one paid attention to Lin Changqing, and he was embarrassed instantly. Originally, the two of them were still discussing who he should go to, but now both of them didn't want him. It's really that 2 Taoist partners are happy, but 3 Taoist partners are not. Seeing this situation, he could only find a room to rest. After all, he had been stationed in the Red Maple Fortress for several months, and his spirit had been tense. Now that he finally returned home safely, he must have a good rest, so tonight, he gave himself a holiday and did not practice as usual. But she didn't expect that in the first half of the night, a pretty figure would sneak into her room. Chapter 759 Yuzi Lin Hai. With a familiar aura, Lin Changqing knew who was coming without using a spiritual sense. So he was overjoyed, and he used all his strength to perform desperately. When the battle was over, it was already the middle of the night. The figure did not stay, but packed up and left immediately. Unexpectedly, after a while, another figure came, smelling the familiar body fragrance. Lin Changqing was so happy that he almost couldn't help laughing out loud. He quickly performed hard again, anyway, without any reservations, and kept farming until almost dawn, when the figure got up and left. Just like that, Lin Changqing thought they had forgiven him. But unexpectedly, they still ignored him during the day, but only asked him to work hard at night. After this discovery, Lin Changqing instantly realized what was going on, which really made him laugh and cry. Fortunately, a few days later, Chen Ziyi still spoke up and asked him to go and pick up Li Xiangting and the child. Lin Changqing was instantly overjoyed, and quickly explained to his family, and then left Jiufeng Mountain. He had to do the whole show, so he planned to stay outside for a few days and then come back. In fact, more than 1,000 miles out of Jiufeng Mountain, Lin Changqing found a hidden cave, and arranged a spirit gathering and defense formations. He immediately entered the inner space. In fact, when he was in Jiufeng Mountain, he had wanted to go in a long time ago. He was afraid that after seeing the child, he would be reluctant to leave, or reveal other flaws. So he simply didn't go in for the time being, and waited patiently until now. After entering the inner space, he soon found a group of women in the yard. It was his 4 men, as well as Li Xiangting and her mother Reincarnated. At this time, the 6 of them were studying a little baby. Lin Changqing immediately realized that this should be his child. In an instant, a blood connection and an emotion of extreme joy broke out in his heart. He appeared beside them in an instant, and then couldn't help but gently stroke the child's face, and found that the baby should be a boy. Seeing him suddenly appear, Su Miniang and the others immediately cheered in unison. "Congratulations, Master, you have a baby." The voices were uniform. Obviously they had discussed it beforehand, but at this time, Lin Changqing had no intention to pay attention to them. He just said happily, Okay, this is a big happy event for our Lin family. Everyone will have a reward. As for what the specific reward is, you guys will discuss and decide. Remember to give it to them as soon as possible, so that everyone will be happy." After hearing what he said, the 4 subordinates all agreed and said goodbye and left. At this time, Li Xiangting put the child in his arms and teased the child with him. Then he asked, "Brother Qing, did something happen outside? Why did you take so long to come back?" Lin Changqing nodded and said, "Thank you and Aunt Yam for your hard work. A beast tide broke out outside, and the family was recruited by the Qingayan sect to resist the beast tide, so I didn't have time to come in. Fortunately, the beast tide ended a few days ago. I am going to pick you up and return to Jiufeng Mountain, so that you and this little guy can recognize your ancestors together." Hearing Lin Changqing say this, Li Xiangting and Murin Qingayan were very happy. This was the good news they had been looking forward to. However, Murin Qingayan still asked, "Then Changqing, have your other 2 Taoist companions accepted Xiangting?" He immediately nodded without hesitation and said, "They have all accepted it. This time, they urged me to take you back as soon as possible. But there are some things I need to explain to you first. Find Li Qinshuan and I will explain it to you together." Murin Qingayan nodded, and then went to call Li Qinshuan over in person. After everyone gathered, Lin Changqing told them all his plans, mainly to unify the words and caliber. So as not to accidentally let the secret slip and expose the news of Xinghe realm, it would be troublesome at that time. The 4 people spent a lot of time to come up with a set of basically flawless rhetoric. After finishing it, Lin Changqing did not go back immediately, but spent some time. He also told them some information about Qingayan Jiao to prevent them from accidentally exposing it. After staying for a few days, Lin Changqing took them out of the inner space. Back to the hidden cave. After taking back the formation, he used the magic weapon Ling Xiao to take them back to Jiufeng Mountain. Here, Chen Ziyi and the others had already told Lin Changqing's elders about the matter a few days ago. So after a series of condemnations against Lin Changqing, the reception for Li Xiangting and the others was also prepared. To be honest, the most shocking thing was that the mother, aunt, and sister were not prepared at all. It took them some time to accept the fact that they were already grandmothers, aunts, and younger sisters-in-law. So when Lin Changqing brought them back home, Li Xiangting and her son, as well as Murin Qingayan and Li Qinshuan, were all warmly received. After everyone introduced themselves to each other, Lin Changqing's son Lin Hai was hugged by a group of women. It wasn't even his turn for his grandfather and father to hug him, and the house suddenly became very lively. The atmosphere was also very harmonious, and nothing that Lin Changqing was worried about happened, and he even saw it. Chen Ziya held Mu Xiaoxiao with her left hand and Li Xiangting with her right hand, and the three of them were talking very happily. I don't know why, when he saw this situation, he began to worry about himself. And the aunt and Murin Qingyan got along very well, and the aunt even pulled her to live in her own yard. As for Li Qinchuan, he was arranged to live temporarily in the yard vacated by his second uncle. In this way, very smoothly, the three members of the Li family were completely integrated into the Lin family. Of course, including Mu Xiaoxiao and Li Xiangting, they all successfully entered the Lin family's genealogy. As for little Lin Hai, he will have to wait until he is about 8 years old to confirm whether he has spiritual roots before deciding which family tree to include him in. Lin Changqing's premonition was also verified. Li Xiangting was pulled over by Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao. The three of them tacitly established the same front, so Lin Changqing returned to the state of the previous few days. During the day, the three Taoist companions ignored him, and then at night they made him work hard to cultivate the land. Of course, the main land cultivated was Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao's, and Li Xiangting's was relatively less. Lin Changqing was in pain and happiness like this, until one day. The patriarch summoned all the elders of the family. Chapter 760 Public Recommendation. There are also clan members who are above the foundation building stage, who will gather at the family meeting hall to discuss family affairs. When Lin Changqing heard this, he almost guessed what was going on, but he was still very conflicted. To be honest, he was not ready yet, but since everyone was here, he couldn't not go. So after arriving at the meeting hall, he stayed next to his father and tried to keep a low profile. Unfortunately, he underestimated his influence. As soon as he sat down, many clan members came over to greet him and his son and chat. Soon, a group of clan members gathered here. Until the clan leader appeared at last, everyone sat down. The clan leader looked around with a gratified look, and finally stopped his eyes on Lin Changqing. After nodding, he said, "There are two main reasons for calling everyone here today. The first is that this beast tide has been successfully passed with everyone's concerted efforts. The casualties were very small, and it can be said that the strength of the Lin family has basically been preserved. And the final result of the battle is that 40 foundation building pills were exchanged. Today we are going to discuss how to arrange these foundation building pills. If you have any opinions, you can say it now." As soon as the voice fell, the 20 or 30 people below all started to discuss, but no one came out to speak first. Finally, the second elder spoke up and said, "I personally think that there are already many people in the foundation building period in the family. The strength can also be said to be unprecedentedly strong, but we should be prepared for danger in times of peace. I think these foundation building pills cannot be distributed or exchanged out. We should think more long term, and it is better to keep some as the foundation of the family, and not consume them all." When the second elder said this, there were still many people who agreed with him, especially some of the older elders. Then the third elder spoke again. "Second brother is right. I think at least 1/3 or half of the foundation building pills should be left as the family heritage. For the remaining part, in addition to giving it to the clan members and exchanging it with the family contribution points, I think we should also support more talented clan members. For example, the clan members who have cultivated to the great perfection of key refining at around 35 years old can be given greater support by the family, such as exchanging foundation building pills at half price. You know, if a talented clan member really grows up, he can at least protect the family for hundreds of years. There is a living example in front of us. Believe me, everyone knows who it is." As soon as the voice fell, everyone looked at Lin Changqing in unison. Then everyone laughed at the same time, obviously agreeing with the opinion of the third elder. To be honest, most of the people here are Lin Changqing's grandfathers and uncles. It can be said that he is the youngest in terms of generation and age here. If he was not thick-skinned, he might blush when everyone was watching him like this. Fortunately, he has now refined it, and his skin is so thick that everyone just smiled at his words. After the third grandfather finished speaking, many clan members came to express their opinions. After more than an hour of discussion, the clan leader finally made a decision and formulated a series of decisions regarding these foundation building pills. But in general, all aspects have been taken into consideration, and everyone is relatively satisfied. After the first thing was discussed and the result was reached, the clan leader continued to speak. The second thing is that I want to resign from the position of clan leader. As soon as these words came out, the people below were boiling, and everyone tried to keep him, and some even disagreed directly. But the clan leader waited until everyone had finished speaking before he spoke again. This is the decision I finally made after careful consideration. First, my cultivation has reached the great perfection of foundation building, and the next step is to seek advancement. Even if I succeed in advancing to the Purple Mansion, I still have to face the problem of crossing the tribulation, and I might die under the Thunder Tribulation. So I want to hand over the position of clan leader to a reliable person before that, so that I can focus on seeking breakthroughs. Second, the most rare thing is that there is someone in our Lin family who can take over my position. This person, whether it is his contribution to the family or his own cultivation, can be obeyed. And most importantly, he has a deep blessing, and his reputation spreads all over the world. With him in charge of the family, I believe that not many people dare to provoke our Lin family. I am very relieved to hand over the position of clan leader to him. The person I am talking about is Changqing. What do you think? After the clan leader finished speaking, no one spoke for a while. Obviously, the question raised by the clan leader was a bit too sudden, and everyone was thinking about the pros and cons of this question. Finally, it was Lin Changqing's grandfather who spoke first. I don't think it's appropriate. After all, Kinger is still too young. I think it's too frivolous to hand over the burden of the clan leader to him. Please take back this decision, or choose another stable and suitable clan member to take on this burden. After listening to Lin Changqing's father, he immediately spoke up to agree. He felt that his son was still too naive in all aspects, and he had no experience and ability to manage a family. If he made a wrong decision in the future under impulse, it might ruin the current good situation of the Lin family. So no matter what, he didn't agree with his son taking over the position of clan leader. Lin Changqing also said quickly, "Clan leader, uncles and uncles, I also feel that I am not suitable for this position. If the clan leader is determined to give up his position, I think an elder who is highly respected and more familiar with clan affairs should be selected to take over this position. Anyway, as a member of the Lin family, if I need to take action in the future, just say it. I can still guard the family even if I am not the clan leader." After hearing what he said, the elders below, as well as the uncles and uncles in the foundation building period, all expressed their opinions. However, this is a question related to the fate of the family, so it is not so easy to reach a consensus. After discussing for several hours, no clear result was reached. Wu Jian could not hold back, and finally the clan leader made a decision and held a public recommendation on the spot. In this way, 2 other clan members were soon introduced. And together with Lin Changqing, a total of 3 nominees were made. One of them is Lin Fanian, the foreign affairs elder in charge of external affairs of the Lin family. The other one is the 6th grandfather Lin Fangxuan. Both of them are clan members who have made great contributions to the family. Chapter 761, Opening Sermon. Everyone recognized the 2 of them, and most importantly, many clan members had also received their favors. The time for the clan's public election was set for 3 days later. But for Lin Changqing, it was all the same. Anyway, he didn't want to be the clan leader, and it was the old clan leader who had been pushing for it. So he didn't care so much about the result, but he hoped that he would lose the election. For 3 days, the whole family was in an uproar because of this matter. Lin Changqing didn't go anywhere, but was the quietest, staying in his own yard to practice. Or he was forced to cultivate the land and contribute his own strength to the expansion of the family. 3 days later, nearly 300 clan members of the entire family were almost all present. The public election presided over by the clan leader officially began, and after narrating the cause and process of the whole thing, each clan member was given a special jade slip, and they could write the name of the candidate in their mind in the jade slip. And Lin Changqing felt that he didn't take any action, so he shouldn't be defeated, and just thought that he came here to accompany the election. So his whole state was very relaxed. But he didn't expect that the final result of the statistics showed that more than half of the clan members chose Lin Changqing. When this result came out, he was caught off guard. It was not until others pushed it to the stage that Lin Changqing reacted completely. In the end, he had no choice but to deal with it casually for a few words and was pulled back to the family meeting hall. The things discussed this time were Lin Changqing's succession ceremony and the Purple Mansion ceremony. After everyone's discussion, it was decided to combine these 2 things into one. But the Lin family planned to make a big deal and invite all related families and relatives and friends to participate. Of course, whether it was to inform or demonstrate, the Lin family sent special people to deliver invitations to all nearby families. The time was set for half a year later, and during this period, Lin Changqing followed the old patriarch to learn the knowledge and experience of managing the family. Of course, this is also the handover between the new and old patriarchs. A family must have many secrets that need to be explained clearly. And Lin Changqing finally knew where his second uncle and some of the clan members had gone. And there was not only one secret of this kind, but always three. In other words, the family changed its appearance and arranged 3 branch families to develop in other places. With the strong support of the family here, it has now begun to show results. This made Lin Changqing very satisfied. Of course, there are more secrets than these, and there are also some accumulated foundations by the ancestors. But in general, there is nothing too earth-shattering. At most, there are few treasures equivalent to the power of the Purple Mansion. Anyway, in Lin Changqing's opinion, that's it. But now that the clan members have elected him to be the patriarch, he must want to make some achievements, which can be regarded as a return to the family. Not to mention anything else, just the treasures in his hand, as long as he is willing to take out a small part, can make the entire Lin family have earth-shattering changes. He plans to slowly start this matter after taking over as the patriarch. Of course, even if he takes things out, he will find a suitable way so that others will not feel too abrupt. For example, he would hold a family competition, and then the top few would be rewarded with some cultivation resources in private, in addition to the family rewards. This would not only cultivate the clan members, but also gain their loyalty and love, which could be said to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Anyway, since he is now the patriarch of the Lin family, he has the confidence to lead the Lin family to a more prosperous path. Soon, the news that the patriarch of the Lin family was replaced by Lin Changqing spread throughout the Qinghai sect. And along with this news, there was also the news that Lin Changqing was going to give a lecture at the succession ceremony. As soon as this news came out, it can be said that many people were boiling. Who is Lin Changqing? He is the existence who killed 12 third-level monsters with 1 blow. Ordinary Purple Mansion cultivators can be killed with 1 blow. It can even be said that he is the first person below the golden elixir. Many people want to listen to his cultivation experience, or have some questions and want to ask him. So there are a lot of people who are ready to come to participate in this grand ceremony, so they came several months in advance. The market near the Lin family suddenly became crowded, and it can be said that it was much more lively than the previous 7 prefectures meeting. Some of them ran directly to the vicinity of Jiufeng mountain, just to catch a glimpse of Lin Changqing's style in advance. There are even some people who feel that their qualifications are not bad, and they fantasize about being favored by Lin Changqing and accepted as disciples. So during this period of time, Qinghai Prefecture and Jiufeng Mountain were really lively. Unfortunately, after Lin Changqing was elected as the patriarch, he had no time to come out, and he had been learning with the old patriarch. As a result, he seemed to have less time to cultivate the land, which made Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao more or less have some opinions. In fact, the 2 of them had already accepted Li Xiangting in their hearts and forgave Lin Changqing. But they were not convinced that Li Xiangting was 1 step ahead of them and gave birth to children for Lin Changqing, so they also wanted to achieve this achievement. Of course, this is also a kind of punishment for Lin Changqing in disguise. As for this kind of punishment, whether Lin Changqing thinks it is fragrant or not, probably only he himself knows. Fortunately, Lin Changqing's hard work finally paid off after a long period of intensive cultivation. Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxiao both became pregnant one after another, so Lin Changqing was freed from the hard work. Since the news about his succession to the head of the Lin family has spread, he's going to send an invitation to all his friends. After all, this is also a big event for him, so he wants to invite all his friends. And they are all disciples of Qinghai sect, and they can help him to show his strength after coming. Of course, he also wants to get together with them to consolidate their relationship. After all, they represent several different channels. Including Lu Lingxi, who was just rescued by him recently, he also sent her an invitation. A powerful friend like this must be pulled out to stand on the scene. And it's useless. If she is not invited, she may blame him in the future. So as long as Lin Changqing feels that the relationship is okay, he will send invitations. As for the matter of sending invitations to the door, he doesn't have to worry about it. Naturally there would be tribesmen who would come to take on this kind of task, and he only needed to write the invitations in advance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 762, The Final Entrustment. Unconsciously, 5 months had passed. After studying with the old patriarch for a few months, he had learned almost everything he should learn. So Lin Changqing was free again, but he was still with the old patriarch most of the time. He gradually began to take over the affairs of the family, but in fact, there were not as many things as he imagined. So when he was free on this day, Lin Changqing suddenly had an idea and thought about the time he had returned to the family. Except for seeing the second grandfather once when the whole family was elected a few months ago, he had never visited him again. Therefore, he decided to see him today, so he flew directly to the second grandfather's yard. A few years ago, the old man was no longer in charge of the family's suture pavilion, and was replaced by other elders. Lin Changqing landed at the gate of the second grandfather's yard, and was taken to the back garden of the yard by an ordinary clan member who took care of him. The second grandfather was still sitting in a rocking chair and rocking gently, as before, with a pot of spiritual tea on the small coffee table next to him. However, when Lin Changqing saw his face, he couldn't help but be surprised. Second grandfather was very calm and open-minded. When he saw him, he chuckled and said, "You bastard, you only remembered to come to see me today. If you don't come again, I will have someone look for you in 2 days. But now you come by yourself, I won't bother you." Hearing him say this, Lin Changqing felt even more sad, his eyes were a little red, and he blamed himself for not coming earlier. Second grandfather now is very different from what he looked like a few months ago. His face is incredibly old. There is also a dead and rotten smell on his body, especially his cultivation, which has dropped to about the 4th level of key refining. And the spiritual energy in his body is also dissipating at a relatively slow speed. He looks like he has entered the state of 5 decays of heaven and man, and his time is coming to an end. Fortunately, Lin Changqing has experienced a lot of things, and knows that second grandfather will definitely not like his sad face. So he tried to control his emotions and said with a forced smile, "Second grandfather, I'm sorry, it's my grandson's fault. I should have come to see you earlier." Second grandfather waved his hand gently and said, "Don't look so dead in front of me, I'm not dead yet. But what's wrong with you? When you came before, you knew to get me some second-level spiritual tea to taste. Today, you dared to come empty-handed, it seems that you deserve to be punished." Lin Changqing heard that he could still joke, and the sadness in his heart was also diluted a little. He chuckled and said, "How is this possible? I brought you my best spiritual tea. You will know the wonders of this spiritual tea after tasting it." After that, he took out the most precious 3rd-level top-grade Yuquan heart tea. Second grandfather smiled and didn't say anything, just watching Lin Changqing perform. These Yuquan heart teas are very precious, and Su Miniang and Zhao Linyu have been taking care of them all the time. The most important thing is that only the 2 rhizomes that were obtained first at that time survived and became plants. But after the induction of growth, the tea trees cultivated by the method of root and stem division had a very low grade. It might be because there was no real spiritual spring in the inner space. Therefore, Lin Changqing only had 2 real Yuquan heart tea trees, so the yield was naturally not very high. This time he took out a small jar and brewed spiritual tea for his second grandfather himself. After the 2 drank a cup, they all quieted down. Lin Changqing used the effect of the heart tea to comprehend the essence of the 5 elements escape technique. After about an hour, the 2 woke up from that wonderful state of mind one after another. Second grandfather suddenly burst into laughter, and Lin Changqing was startled by his reaction. He quickly asked, "Second grandfather, what's wrong with you?" Lin Fandong said happily, "Thank you for your spiritual tea, it's really an incredible good thing. Don't worry, I'm fine, I just figured out a little bit and I'm happy for myself." Lin Changqing asked curiously, "What exactly is it that makes you worry about it until now?" Lin Fandong chuckled and said, "I'm going to die, and it's nothing to tell you. When I cultivated to the great perfection of key refining, I was only 52 years old, but for various reasons at that time, I didn't get the foundation building pill. At that time, there was actually another choice, that is, to give it a try. If it succeeds, it will naturally advance to the foundation building stage. If it fails, because there is no foundation building pill to protect the meridians, it will be a life and death ending. However, I told the patriarch about this idea at the time. But he persuaded me to stop with the family as the priority, so that in the end, I was over the age of 60. So over the years, I have been thinking about what would happen if I really gave it a try. But now I have figured it out. No matter what, it is my own choice. There is nothing to regret. If there is a next time, I may still make this choice. Lin Changqing couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. At that time, the family was still very weak, so a clan member who had reached the great perfection of ki refining was a very important fighting force for the family. It can even be said that he was already a core member of the family who could stand on his own, and an opportunity to build a foundation was indeed very precious and rare for any clan member. And it was because the second grandfather didn't have this opportunity that he wasted his life, so he has been regretting it until now. Until now, Lin Changqing didn't know what to say. For the relieved second grandfather, nothing was important anymore. Instead, Lin Fandong continued, "Okay, let's not talk about that. What I'm most pleased about is that the Lin family has a unicorn like you. When you were at the head of the beast titan rush back desperately, I knew that I was right about you. And in the future, with a powerful purple mansion cultivator like you in charge, the family can prosper for at least 400 years, and then I will be at ease. It's just that the family can't help you now. On the contrary, it may hold you back, which is really unfair to you, but please don't dislike it." The second grandfather was obviously explaining his funeral affairs. Lin Changqing felt very uncomfortable after hearing this, but he had no choice. He could only say, "Second grandfather, I was born here, grew up here, and even if I die in the future, I will be buried here. So it is also my responsibility to protect the Lin family, so don't worry." Lin Fandong listened and nodded with relief, so he had nothing to worry about. Chapter 763 Lin Family Head. Afterwards, Lin Fandong took out 2 storage bags and handed them directly to Lin Changqing, and said, "This is my life savings. There is nothing too precious, so I will give it all to you. You can deal with it as you see fit. You probably won't be able to use the things inside, but you can keep 1 or 2 as a souvenir. For the rest, please help me pass them on to clan members in need." Lin Changqing nodded, took them with both hands, and agreed very solemnly. It was decided that when the family competition was held in the future, these things would be given to suitable clan members. Afterwards, he kept chatting with his second grandfather, basically talking about his experiences over the years. Lin Changqing even told him about his experience in the Star Sea realm. This made Lin Fandong very curious, but it was a pity that he would never have the opportunity to go there again. The two chatted until late at night, and Lin Changqing was sent away. But the next day, when Lin Changqing was about to start practicing, he suddenly heard bang, bang, dong, one after another, a low bell rang. Lin Changqing's heart skipped a beat and he listened carefully. Unexpectedly, there were exactly 11 bells. He couldn't help but feel extremely sad and his eyes turned red. This is a spiritual tool that will be used only when a major event occurs in the family. The Jiufeng's handling bell is used to quickly transmit important news and summon clan members. The 11 bells represent that an important family member has passed away. The only possibility is that the second grandfather has passed away. Lin Changqing originally planned to take his son Lin Hai to meet the second grandfather today, but he didn't expect that there was no chance. He didn't practice anymore and rushed to the second grandfather's yard quickly. At this time, several people had already come. But he didn't feel like greeting them and rushed directly to the second grandfather's room. He saw him lying on the bed with a smile on his face and a peaceful expression. And he was wearing a clean, fit, and slightly gorgeous Taoist robe, which was obviously changed by himself in advance. Unfortunately, there was no breath on his body. Lin Changqing resisted the sadness in his heart, looked for a long time, and then turned and walked out. Many clan members will come over to say goodbye to the second grandfather, so he must make room. The funeral of the monk is not that complicated. After everyone said goodbye, Lin Changqing personally sent him to the ancestral land, so that he could enjoy the sacrifices of his descendants in the future. In this way, Lin Changqing lost a very respected elder, but life had to go on. In a blink of an eye, almost another month had passed. In fact, as early as half a month later, many invited family representatives or monks with close relations with the Lin family had visited in advance, Now only some important people will be personally received by Lin Changqing, and the next level will be received by the family elders. And during this period of time, he has also learned a lot. At least under the old patriarch's words and deeds, he roughly knows how to be a patriarch. But recently, Lin Changqing's head has been very big. Because of his relationship in Qingyuan sect, Chen Ziyi's grandmother Chen Jiyi, Lu Lingxi, Hu Yana, Zhao Mingxia, and their elders have all come. This lineup was unprecedentedly strong. It can be said that it gave Lin Changqing and the Lin family enough face. It was a pity that when Hu Yana arrived, she saw Lin Changqing's 3 Taoist companions, especially Mu Zia Oxio, who was also there and was pregnant for several months. She almost exploded with anger. The main reason was that she had convinced herself to let it go for more than 10 years, but she didn't expect Lin Changqing to suddenly have 2 Taoist companions. She almost broke her heart, but fortunately, there were Chen Ziya and Zhao Mingxia to comfort her. However, since then, whenever Hu Yana saw Lin Changqing, she would stare at him with a face full of resentment. And she stayed with Lin Changqing's Taoist companions specifically, that is, she often stayed in Lin Changqing's yard. As a result, he didn't dare to go home casually now, and often found excuses to run to the old patriarch or his grandfather to hide. Fortunately, today, the ceremony finally began. The main peak of Jiufeng mountain, especially the main passages, were decorated with lights and colors everywhere. This is more than 10 times more lively than the previous 14th Uncle's Foundation building celebration. According to preliminary statistics, there are at least 10,000 or 20,000 monks who came to participate in this grand ceremony. This is already very exaggerated, and there are still people coming later. Moreover, there are too many people, and the Lin family cannot accommodate them, so they slightly raised the threshold and focused on entertaining monks above the foundation building stage. The rest can only enter the buffet and do their best to entertain them. Fortunately, the monks who came here were not for the spiritual meal of the Lin family, but mainly to listen to Lin Changqing's sermon. Lin Changqing has been tossing from early in the morning to now. From the auspicious time to the family ancestral hall in ancestral land to worship the ancestors, this process took 1 or 2 hours. Then he went to the family square, where representatives of various families and relatives and friends witnessed. A grand succession ceremony was held. At the ceremony, the old patriarch handed over the deed representing Jiufeng Mountain, the genealogy representing the clan members, and the seal representing the patriarch to Lin Changqing. At this time, Lin Changqing, represented the Jiufeng Mountain Lin family, and his words and deeds in the future would not only represent him alone. After finishing all this, it was almost noon, and Lin Changqing was busy socializing everywhere. After all, others came to support him, so he must go over to socialize a few words, and the old patriarch and the elders were also accompanying him. Introduce him some people he didn't know, but who were relatively important and had corresponding backgrounds. This round was more time-consuming. Fortunately, everyone knew that he was the busiest today, so they didn't hold him back. However, he did drink a lot of spirit wine, and by the time he could get away, he was already a little drunk. Today's situation is special, and in order to show respect to the guests who came to participate in the ceremony, Lin Changqing did not cheat. You must know that with his physique of a third-level physical cultivator, he was a little drunk, so you can imagine how much he drank today. But at this time, Lin Changqing couldn't rest, because tomorrow was the day to preach. So he had to prepare first. At least to refine all the spirit wine in his body, maintain the best condition, and go all out to finish this sermon. Because this is related to the face of him and the Lin family, there is no room for negligence. If there were any obvious mistakes or errors during the entire sermon, it would be a huge disgrace, and it might even become a joke among all the families. So Lin Changqing, for the sake of his own and his family's reputation, could not tolerate even the slightest mistake. Chapter 764, The Preaching Effect is Amazing. When Lin Changqing was refining the spirit wine, he spent a lot of time to sort out what he was going to say again. He planned to talk for 3 days in total. On the first day, he talked about the introduction of qi into the body and the problems encountered in the practice of qi refining. On the second day, he talked about the experience of building the foundation and the problems of the practice of the foundation building period. On the third day, he mainly talked about the promotion to the Purple Mansion and the Thunder Tribulation. Finally, if there was some time left, he would use it to answer questions raised by others. Generally speaking, it was almost like this. On the second day, everything was ready. Around the time of Chen, after the 3 low bell sounds of this handling bell, duang, 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 Lin Changqing appeared directly at the foot of Jiufeng mountain. This was where he would give a lecture today. There was no way. There were too many people. He could only arrange it here. The family square of the main peak could not accommodate even 1/10 of the people here. He roughly estimated that the number of cultivators here must have exceeded 30,000. This was a very exaggerated number. Lin Changqing felt that even if you held a small meeting of the 7 mansions, there might not be so many people here. Fortunately, although there were many people, it was not too chaotic. The family arranged it well. At the foot of the mountain, a square similar to the shape of the 8 diagrams was opened up. In the center of the square, there was a lotus stone platform 3 feet high. The rest of the square was divided into 8 areas of the same size, and each area had a dedicated person to maintain order. With this arrangement, there was no sense of chaos and disorder. On the contrary, because most people came to listen to the teaching sincerely, they were very cooperative. Therefore, when Lin Changqing appeared on the lotus platform in the center, a melodious jade chime sounded at the scene. Ding, ling, ding, 6 consecutive sounds. All the cultivators present consciously kept quiet, and no one made any loud noises. Then Lu Lingxi, who was standing under the lotus platform, used the sound amplification technique to speak. Lin Changqing, the newly promoted Purple Mansion cultivator of the Lin family of Jiufeng Mountain, is here to preach today. Everyone, please perform the thank you ceremony. As soon as the words fell, now more than 30,000 people all stood up and respectfully performed a thank you ceremony to Lin Changqing. The world of immortal cultivation does have this kind of traditional etiquette. After all, they open the altar to preach, and you learn from their experience in Taoism. So if you count carefully, there is a little bit of incense and affection between the master and the apprentice. Therefore, this ceremony is also to show respect and gratitude. Lin Changqing stood on the lotus platform and returned the ceremony to everyone. Then he chuckled and said, "Thank you all for coming here from afar to support me, a junior student. From today on, I am going to share with you some of my insights and experiences from my practice so far. There are also problems encountered in practice and solutions to them. I will start from the introduction of Qi into the body and talk about the thunder tribulation of crossing the Purple Mansion period. And after each major realm, I will leave some time for everyone to ask questions. It is estimated that it will take about 3 days to finish all the talks. If anyone can't listen, just leave quietly, and try not to affect others." As soon as Lin Changqing finished speaking, everyone present said in unison, "I will obey the order of the law." Hearing this huge answer, Lin Changqing's blood boiled instantly. But he still forced himself to suppress this emotion, sat cross-legged on the lotus platform, straightened his Taoist robe, and officially began to preach. The basis for the existence of our generation of cultivators is that there is a very wonderful substance between heaven and earth. Our generation of cultivators absorbs and refines this substance through exercises. Then, through the use of certain methods, we can achieve flying, hiding in the sky, overturning mountains and seas, and even catching stars and moons. This substance is spiritual energy. With spiritual energy, we have these cultivators who are trying to change their fate against the will of heaven. The first difficulty in our cultivation is to draw the air into the body. At this time, the cultivators are still mortals, and their meridians cannot bear too much spiritual energy. Whether these spiritual energies are external or brought by spiritual objects, it is very unwise to swallow spiritual objects rashly. So according to past experience, the level of individual spiritual root qualifications of the cultivators determines the speed of drawing the air into the body. For example, people with good qualifications may complete the drawing of air into the body in 1 day, while people with poor qualifications may have no clues after working hard for a year. But in my opinion, this is not absolute. There are still some additional methods to speed up this process. Now I share this method with everyone. Lin Changqing spoke eloquently on the lotus platform, using easy-to-understand language to talk about all the problems he might encounter from the beginning of his practice, and his own solutions. The sound spread to all directions of the square through the amplifying array on the lotus platform. Most of the tens of thousands of people below the stage were key refining cultivators, so they listened very seriously. Many people were even gradually fascinated by what they heard, looking intoxicated. Lin Changqing spoke from morning to evening, and the key refining section ended. No less than 300 or 400 key refining cultivators who were listening to the lecture had sudden enlightenment and breakthroughs on the spot. Fortunately, since the first example, everyone has gradually become accustomed to this phenomenon, and it did not affect other people's listening. It was not until it was completely dark that Lin Changqing forced the questions from the audience to end. After announcing that the same time would continue the next day, Lin Changqing flew away. However, many cultivators did not intend to leave, and it seemed that they were ready to stay here and wait for the next day's sermon. There were also many people who were still quietly digesting the problems that Lin Changqing had talked about. You should know that this time, Lin Changqing combined the content of the preaching of Jiang Zhenjin and the content taught by the old drunkard, and added his own arrangement and understanding. It can be said that it is really full of sincerity and gold content. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is standing on the shoulders of Zhenren and Zhenjin to see the world. So in terms of the effect of the first day's preaching, it definitely exceeded everyone's expectations. It is estimated that after this time, there will be more people who want to worship him as a teacher. At this time, as soon as Lin Changqing returned to the main peak, he was invited back to the family meeting hall by the clan members. Basically, the main elders and foundation building monks of the Lin family are here. Then the heads of various aspects reported to him that the situation today was generally smooth and there were no major problems. In addition, all the clan members praised Lin Changqing's preaching today, and even 2 or 3 of the Lin family's own children broke through and advanced on the spot. Chapter 765. Someone is messing up the place. So they requested that Lin Changqing give a lecture to all the members of his clan every few years. Lin Changqing agreed without hesitation. For him, a lecture would only take 1 or 2 days, and a penny would benefit the whole clan. What was there to hesitate about? The next day, the number of people attending the lecture was even higher, and it was even vaguely estimated that there were already 40,000 people. It was also very smooth, but when he finished his sermon and was about to leave, a young cultivator in the key refining stage suddenly rushed to the lotus platform. He knelt on the ground and shouted loudly that he wanted to worship him as his master. With his example, dozens of cultivators who were listening to the lecture in the square emerged, all with the same purpose as him. The scene suddenly became very lively. Lin Changqing had to stop and explain, "I'm sorry, everyone. I am a cultivator of the family. It is not convenient for me to accept disciples from outside now. But our Lin family can now recruit a small number of guest officials. If you are interested, you can find the Lin family disciples who maintain order to learn about it." After that, Lin Changqing left. He was not interested in recruiting disciples. It would be a waste of time and effort and might not be appreciated. Instead, he felt it was necessary to recruit some guests who worked hard. After all, he was the clan leader now. In his opinion, there were still too few monks directly under the Lin family. He planned to introduce measures to encourage the clan members to have children in the future. So he felt that it was very cost-effective to recruit some guests and spend some resources, and then give them dangerous tasks in the future. Although most people could not understand the sermon on the third day, it did not prevent them from listening carefully. It is estimated that they were also like Lin Changqing before. They tried their best to remember the content that they did not understand, hoping that they could integrate it when their cultivation level was higher in the future. After Lin Changqing finished talking about his experience and feelings of overcoming the thunder tribulation, he stayed for an hour for everyone to ask questions. At this point, fewer people could stand up to ask questions. So when the time was up, the melodious sound of the jade chime was heard again in the square. Ding, ling, ding, 6 more consecutive sounds, and the monks who were still immersed in the sermon suddenly realized that the sermon had ended. At this time, Lu Lingxi next to the lotus platform spoke again. "The sermon is over. Everyone, please perform the thank you ceremony again." Lin Changqing's sermon this time can be said to be an unprecedented success. He talked about all aspects very thoroughly. I believe that as long as the people who come here listen carefully, they will definitely benefit a lot. Therefore, most of the people present were grateful to him, so many people respectfully performed the disciple ceremony to Lin Changqing on the stage. After seeing this, Lin Changqing could not help but nodded. After all, no one wants to meet an ungrateful person. At this time, although the sermon has ended, many people are still reluctant to leave here. But Lin Changqing can't take care of this problem. Naturally, there will be clansmen who will be responsible for arranging them. And he also knows that this time on the outskirts of Jiufeng Mountain, many people have spontaneously leveled a piece of flat land and set up stalls there to trade. A large-scale market has been formed. It is estimated that it will take at least 2 to 3 days for all these people to leave Jiufeng Mountain. But just when Lin Changqing was about to leave, a voice suddenly resounded throughout the square. Wait a minute, fellow Taoist Changqing. I am Feng Wuhan. I have heard that fellow Taoist Changqing has the reputation of being the #1 person under the golden collar. And it is also rumored that fellow Taoist, if the golden core does not come out, no one can compete with you, so I came here without knowing my own limitations. I want to ask fellow Taoist Changqing for a few tricks. I want to see if fellow Taoist Changqing is really as powerful as others say. So please, fellow Taoist Changqing, enlighten me so that I can set the record straight. As soon as the voice fell, a figure of a young monk in his 30s appeared a few dozen feet in front of Lin Changqing. The man was standing in the air, wearing a light blue Taoist robe and accessories, which made him look extraordinary and gentle. Lin Changqing used his spiritual sense to sense it a little, and he knew that the man who called himself Feng Wuhan should be the 8th level of the late Purple Mansion. But the trouble is that Lin Changqing sensed that he was using the mana of wind attribute. No wonder this person had the confidence to challenge him. This kind of wind-type cultivator is disgusting. Apart from anything else, with a blessing of the wind spirit root, as long as the wind escape technique is cultivated to perfection, it is difficult for the wind-type cultivator to be captured and killed. But no matter what, Lin Changqing will not fight casually, because there is really no benefit in this kind of thing. If he wins, his reputation may be closer to a higher level, but it is very obvious that from then on, he has one more powerful enemy. Because others just come to ask for advice, you can't just ignore it and kill them directly. This is unacceptable. If you don't kill this kind of person, you will leave an enemy behind, who will be like a poisonous snake, and you don't know when he will come out to bite you. So it's really troublesome. And if you lose, it will be even more unprofitable. It is possible that the Lin family and his own reputation will plummet from then on, and he may even become a laughingstock of others. And now as the patriarch, the most important thing for him is to consider the entire family. If he can avoid making enemies, he should try not to make enemies. He himself is not afraid of such enemies, but he still has a lot of ordinary clansmen. If they face such people, the consequence may be a large number of deaths. So it's best not to fight, so Lin Changqing said. This Taoist Feng is joking. Lin can guarantee that he has never said this to the outside world. I dare not claim to be the #1 person under the golden collar. These are all jokes from other Taoists, so that they are getting more and more outrageous. And I still understand the truth that there are people outside the sky, so I have never admitted this statement. Therefore, I don't need to ask for advice. After all, if you fight, whether you win or lose, it is easy to hurt the harmony. Why don't I buy you a drink and we can sit down and talk? Lin Changqing's words were very pertinent. Although Feng Wuhan came with a purpose, he couldn't help but admire him in his heart after listening to him. But when he thought of the bet he had made with others, he said again, fortunately, you still have some self-knowledge. But I'm not interested in drinking or talking about Taoism. I just want to learn a few tricks from you. I believe that I have come thousands of miles to come here, and you shouldn't let me go back empty-handed. Or maybe you are just a fraud, and you are afraid of being exposed by me, so you don't dare to fight. Chapter 766 3 Methods. After hearing what Feng Wuhan said, not only Lin Changqing, but also the members of the Lin family, as well as many of the Lin family's relatives and friends, were already enraged. Including many of the monks who were listening to the sermon below. After hearing Feng Wuhan's aggressiveness, they also directly denounced him. There were even so many voices that they formed a sound wave. At this time, Lin Changqing knew that he had been forced into a corner. If he insisted on not fighting, then his reputation and that of the Lin family might be ruined. He couldn't help but feel murderous in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. He just said calmly, since fellow Taoist Feng is so insistent, I can only bite the bullet and ask for your advice. But fellow Taoist Feng is a wind-attributed cultivator. If he just keeps fighting, we don't know how long we will have to fight. So I don't know if fellow Taoist Feng has any rules in mind. Feng Wuhan knew what Lin Changqing was up to when he heard it, so he chuckled and said, what does fellow Taoist Changqing mean by that? You don't want me to fight you with both hands, do you? That's not right. Lin Changqing had a headache. He originally wanted to provoke Feng Wuhan, but he didn't expect him to be so experienced that he didn't fall for it. Just when he was about to guide him in the direction he expected, Chen Qiai, Lu Lingxi, and the two elders of Zhao Mingxia and Hu Yuna, 4 purple mansion cultivators flew over together and stopped beside Lin Changqing. Among them, Chen Jie directly said, "This fellow Taoist, you are the core disciple of Xianxing sword sect, Feng Wuhan, the windless sword." Seen your brother Feng in person, Feng Wuhan saw that his identity was discovered by others, and he generously admitted, "Yes, it is Feng. Meet the 4 junior sisters of Qingyuan sect, meet senior brother Feng, meet senior brother Feng. Meet senior brother Feng." After the two sides greeted each other, Chen Jie asked again, "As far as I know, you two have no intersection, let alone any connection. I wonder why senior brother Feng came here from afar? Is it really for that illusory reputation?" Feng Wuhan listened, looked at them, and then said lightly, "I have made it very clear that I came here specifically to seek advice. There is no other intention." Feng Wuhan said this, and the 4 people of Qingyuan sect couldn't say anything else, otherwise it would be a bit of a pressure. However, Chen Jie pointed out Feng Wuhan's background, and Lin Changqing knew that Feng Wuhan must not die here. As a core disciple of the Xianxing sword sect, if he defeated him, he would offend the Xianxing sword sect. Therefore, the best outcome would be to maintain a result of neither losing nor winning. So Lin Changqing said, "In that case, I have 3 ways to compete. I'll tell them to fellow Taoist Feng for reference." Feng Wuhan said lightly, "Tell me about them." Lin Changqing said directly, "The first method is that we both stand still and take each other's blow. Whoever can't bear it loses. If both sides are fine after 3 blows, then it's a draw. The second method is that we use this square as the boundary and the time limit of 1 incense stick. There is no limit to the means. Whoever is forced out of this range loses. The third method is that the beast tide has just passed, and there must be many monsters in the Qingyuan mountains. Let's compete to see who gets there first. Kills a 3rd-level monster, and then rushes back. Whoever gets there first wins." After listening to Lin Changqing's 3 methods, Feng Wuhan laughed and said with a little appreciation, "All 3 methods are good, let's try them all." Everyone was stunned when they heard it. They didn't expect this result. Lin Changqing weighed it quickly in his mind, and then he said, "Okay. Let's start with the first method." Feng Wuhan said lightly, "I don't care, as long as you don't avoid the battle." Hearing the conversation between the two, the monks who were listening to the lecture quickly left the square. The Lin family members who maintained order quickly cleaned up the entire venue. Then the two landed on the square 100 feet apart. Lin Changqing's mind moved, and he instantly activated the yin-yang's handling lamp, forming a black and white defense shield around his body. "Wait for me to say, since fellow Taoist Feng has come to spar, you should make the first move." Feng Wuhan just nodded and didn't say anything, but looked at Lin Changqing's yin-yang's handling lamp. "I feel that this thing is very unusual. If it is an ordinary method, it is estimated that it can only scratch it. So I decided to use some real methods." With a thought, 36 translucent light blue flying swords shot out from behind him. Then they combined into a huge green flying sword in the air, and then Feng Wuhan pointed his finger, and the giant sword with unparalleled power slashed directly at Lin Changqing. Boom! With a loud noise. The collision of 2 different magic powers formed a huge shock wave that instantly swept the entire square. The ground of the square was hit very cleanly, and even affected the Lin family members who were maintaining order. Fortunately, they were just unprepared and were overturned by the air wave, and no one was injured. At this time, Lin Changqing's black and white defense shield was already covered with dense cracks, but it did not break. At this moment, most of the monks watching the battle on the periphery were boiling. Because many people were also the first time to observe the battle of high-level monks at close range, so they were very excited. Feng Wuhan himself was also very surprised that the attack did not break the defense. You know, this attack, to some extent, has surpassed a casual attack of the giant and monk. So it was really beyond his expectation that Lin Changqing could take it hard. But now it was Lin Changqing's turn to take action, so he called back all the flying swords. After thinking about it, he took out and activated a cyan bronze mirror, and then a layer of translucent cyan light shield enveloped his body. Lin Changqing carefully observed the bronze mirror and the light shield, and clearly felt that this thing was also very extraordinary, and it felt a bit like an ancient defensive treasure. But after all, he had no way to confirm it, so he thought about it and decided to use the most powerful combination of thunder magic. But after weighing it in his mind, he only mobilized the mana at 3 thunder-stealing holes to generate a Jinlin water mine with a power of about the 3rd level. Then he controlled a divine thunder and bombarded it directly on the cyan light shield. Sure enough, After a huge thunder, the cyan light shield was also covered with cracks, but it did not break. Chapter 767 Windless Sword Domain. This effect was similar to what Lin Changqing had estimated in his mind, which made him feel slightly proud. You know, the goal he set was to maintain the result of the battle at a tie, or at a slightly inferior level. Ever since he knew that this person was the core disciple of the Xianxing sword sect, he had no intention of winning over him in public. Anyway, in the eyes of others, losing to the core disciple of a big sect is not shameful at all. And for the Lin family and Lin Changqing, giving up half a step and reducing a lot of trouble is still very cost-effective. Feng Wuhan carefully felt the power of the thunder method just now, and he had already recognized Lin Changqing's strength in his heart. However, this also really activated his competitive spirit, and he decided to use more powerful means to try to convince Lin Changqing. So with a thought, more translucent blue flying swords shot out from behind him, and the number was actually twice as much as before. A total of 72 swords of the princess, and once again formed a larger blue flying sword. At this time, Feng Wuhan spoke again. This is the real Xianxing Wanjianzan. You must be careful. Don't blame me if you die. When Lin Changqing summoned twice as many flying swords, he was already prepared. He injected all his chaotic magic power into the yin-yang's handling lamp to activate its defensive effect to the maximum. And out of worry, he activated a 4th-level defensive magic weapon, which was a trophy obtained from Wei Licheng. Then Lin Changqing said, "Come on. I'm ready." As soon as the voice fell, the even larger green flying sword, mixed with earth-shaking power, directly slashed on Lin Changqing's protective light shield. Bang! This time the sound was even louder, and the distance between the two of them was 100 feet, and a straight line more than 10 feet wide and several feet deep had been cut on the ground. This straight line destroyed the entire square and just connected the two of them. The result of the battle was that Lin Changqing's black and white protective light shield was shattered and disappeared. Fortunately, the remaining power was intercepted by his other 4th-level defensive magic weapon. The monks watching the battle were all excited. It was really wonderful. Especially the Lin family members, they were even more worried and excited. In their opinion, their patriarch was now obviously at a disadvantage. But the duel between the two of them opened the eyes of these ordinary monks and made them feel proud of their patriarch. At this time, Lin Changqing was still calm. Although the power of the Xianxing Wanjianzan composed of 72 flying swords was obviously greater than he estimated. But in the end, he was still stopped by him, so it was actually nothing. Feng Wuhan nodded directly and said, "Not bad. You can take this move without damage, and your strength can be regarded as top. Now it's your turn to make a move. Come on, show your true strength." Hearing him say such pretentious words, Lin Changqing almost couldn't help but want to give him a Jinglan water mine with the 5 elements Gixa technique. But he knew he couldn't do that, so he just won in his heart. Seeing that Feng Wuhan was ready, he also activated a layer of green protective light shield, and then activated a green shield to protect his body. Lin Changqing did 2 things at once, and generated a more powerful Jinglan water mine in each hand. Then they shot out almost at the same time, and they landed at the same point. 2 extremely similar thunderous sounds spread throughout the Jiufeng mountain. After the lightning flashed, everyone could see it. Feng Wuhan stood there with a green shield on his head. Although there was no obvious injury on his body, his Taoist robes looked a little messy. At this time, the Lin family members gave a thunderous cheer. Under their unconscious leadership, many monks watching the battle around also cheered. Feng Wuhan didn't care too much. After adjusting his square crown, he said, "It's the last blow. Please show me my secret technique, the windless sword domain." Lin Changqing was shocked when he heard it. The cultivators who could create their own secret techniques must be extremely talented. If you can't kill such a person cleanly, it's better not to make an enemy. However, this thought only flashed through his mind. Lin Changqing quickly activated 2 more 4th-level defensive magic weapons. The yin-yang's handling lantern could not be used for the time being. He had to wait until he went back to refine it again before he could use it again. Feng Wuhan saw that Lin Changqing was ready, and immediately activated the secret technique. The 72 translucent flying swords around him suddenly accelerated and disappeared. This phenomenon scared all the cultivators watching the battle. Then Lin Changqing's 3 defensive magic weapons were all attacked intensively, and the sound of this attack was very sharp and harsh. It was like using a sharp blade to cut through something made of metal, and these attacks were completely chaotic and disordered. Lin Changqing pushed his spiritual sense to the extreme, but he could only roughly capture the trajectory of some of the translucent flying swords. They really appeared and disappeared, and Lin Changqing felt that it was as if each flying sword had mastered the wind escape technique. Now it was captured, and it would suddenly disappear in the next breath. In this way, in a very short period of time, Lin Changqing's several defensive magic weapons suffered at least 100 or 200 attacks. This made his mana consumption in his body just like running water, and he couldn't stop it. Fortunately, his mana was deep and thick, and he could barely withstand it now. It lasted for about 100 breaths, and this attack was over. Seeing Feng Wuhan recall all the translucent flying swords into his body, Lin Changqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. In just this short period of 100 breaths, he had endured at least more than 10,000 attacks. Now all three defensive magic weapons are covered with scars, and it is estimated that repairing them will cost a lot of money. The chaotic mana in his body was directly consumed by more than 70%. If Feng Wuhan could hold on for another 40 to 50 breaths, Lin Changqing would definitely not be able to hold on. But at this time, Feng Wuhan, who was standing opposite, was not very stable and his face was a little pale, which was obviously a sign of excessive mana consumption. But now he looked at Lin Changqing like a monster. After a while, he couldn't help but ask, "What kind of skills are you practicing? Why is your mana so deep and can last so long? And you can also control thunder magic. You didn't practice two fundamental methods at the same time." Chapter 768, Golden Pill is Bait. This question involved some of his own secrets, and Lin Changqing didn't want to answer him at all, but the two different mana powers really couldn't be hidden from other people's eyes. So he said, "There's no way, the family doesn't have a very high-level technique. In addition, it was later discovered that I have a thunder spirit root. In order to enhance my strength, I can only practice another thunder attribute technique." Feng Wuhan nodded, a little speechless, and took a pill to restore his mana. Then he said a little bitterly, "There's no need to compete again, you win. I know you have another magic weapon that can release dozens of divine thunders at once. In my current condition, I definitely can't take it. Besides, my strongest windless sword domain can't make you move a bit, so it's obvious that I can't win the second competition. Maybe I can only beat you in speed in the third game, but overall, I still lost 2-1. Generally speaking, even if you are not the first person under the golden elixir, people who can beat you at the same level can be regarded as rare." As soon as Feng Wuhan finished speaking, the Lin family members around him cheered wildly. Soon, other monks who were watching the battle also joined the ranks. The deafening cheers enveloped the entire Jiufeng mountain for a long time. Feng Wuhan admitted defeat directly, and with his personal affirmation, Lin Changqing's reputation was pushed to the top in an instant. But when he heard him say this, Lin Changqing frowned. Why did he feel that Feng Wuhan's words were full of ulterior motives, and there was a little bit of flattery? This made Lin Changqing alert instantly, but he still said, "Fellow Taoist Feng is really too flattering. We just exchanged a few moves, and there was no winner at all. To put it bluntly, it was just a draw, so you don't have to flatter me." Feng Wuhan shook his head and did not dwell on this issue. Instead, he said, "I am now running out of mana in my body. I wonder if I can borrow fellow Taoist Changqing's treasure land to restore my mana and ask for a few cups of tea." By the way, hearing him say this, Lin Changqing had an idea and confirmed that Feng Wuhan came to him this time, and there must be other purposes. But since others had already said so, of course there was no way to refuse. That would have directly offended the Xiangxing sword sect, so Lin Changqing nodded and said, "No problem, fellow Taoist Feng, please follow me to the practice room on the main peak. This should be able to meet your needs." Then Lin Changqing recruited 4 Purple Mansion monks from the Qingyuan sect to accompany them. The 6 of them flew directly to the practice room next to the old patriarch's room. After sending Feng Wuhan in to restore his mana, Lin Changqing and the other 4 drank tea and chatted outside. In fact, after listening to Lin Changqing's preaching, they also had a lot of questions that they wanted to discuss with him. After 2 hours, Feng Wuhan came out and joined their discussion. In fact, Lin Changqing knew that Feng Wuhan must have something to say to him in private, but he just didn't want to give him this opportunity. Finally, after a long while, Feng Wuhan couldn't help but said to him, "Fellow Taoist Changqing, I have something to discuss with you in private." Hearing him say this, Lin Changqing sighed in his heart. Sure enough, he had guessed it right. Kit Chan and the other four were also very conscious and said goodbye and left. After Lin Changqing sent them off, only he and Feng Wuhan were left at the scene. The two sat opposite each other, and he said directly, "Fellow Taoist Feng, there are only two of us left now, just tell me what you want to say." Feng Wuhan nodded and said, "We would like to invite you to explore a newly discovered secret realm together. The profits will be divided equally among everyone." It was almost the same as Lin Changqing's guess. Feng Wuhan's performance was too obvious, that he was looking for a powerful cultivator. If not, who would have nothing better to do and come all the way here just to learn a few moves from him? Lin Changqing did not express his opinion directly, but asked, "Why did you choose me specifically?" Feng Wuhan answered without hesitation, "Because your strength has been recognized by us, and you are also the head of the Lin family. It is more reliable to cooperate with you than with others. After all, the Lin family is here, and you will definitely not mess around." Lin Changqing chuckled a few times, and then said, "Sorry, fellow Taoist Feng. I'm not interested in the secret realm you mentioned. After all, I have just taken over the position of the head of the Lin family, and there are still a lot of things to deal with, so I'm sorry, I can't accept your invitation." Hearing his refusal, Feng Wuhan hurriedly said, "No, you misunderstood. It will probably take a few years for this secret realm to open. This period of time is enough for you to arrange the family affairs properly. And as we all know, although exploring new secret realms is more dangerous, the rewards will definitely be very rich. It is even possible to use the gains in the secret realm to exchange for Jinden in our sect, so please consider it seriously, fellow Taoist Changqing." Lin Changqing really had no interest in cooperating with his sect disciples to explore the new secret realm. There were too many problems involved. For example, if some incredible treasures were found in it, a family cultivator like Lin Changqing would probably be killed. Or he might be forced to stay behind when he encountered some unmanageable danger. Therefore, it was possible that cooperating with his sect disciples to explore would be harmful and unhelpful, so he would never agree. Besides, if Feng Wuhan hadn't gotten the spoils of Wei Lingcheng, he might still be interested in the high-level bait, the golden core. But now he had a lot of golden cores in his hands, so he naturally couldn't risk his life for this thing. So he said with a firm attitude, "I'm sorry, fellow Taoist Feng, I've been out for training for more than 10 years, and I just came back and encountered the beast tide again. So I'm going to rest for a while, so I don't plan to go out or explore the secret realm in the short term." "I'm sorry to disappoint fellow Taoist Feng," Lin Changqing refused again and again, and his words were firm. Even if he threw out the golden core as bait, he didn't go up to the ditch, so Feng Wuhan had no choice. He could only leave a contact method and told him that if he changed his mind within 3 years, he could contact him. Then he stood up and said goodbye. Lin Changqing sent him out of the mountain gate and watched him turn into wind and leave Jiufeng Mountain before returning to his own yard. Unexpectedly, the house was also very lively. Except for the second uncle's family who had a mission, all other relatives were here. Chapter 769, The Three Major Changes of the Patriarch's Appointment. Lin Changqing walked into the living room. When his sister Lin Changling saw him, she immediately jumped onto his back excitedly and said triumphantly, "Brother, you are finally back. Now that you are so powerful, I can walk sideways when I go out on the future." As soon as she said this, everyone present was amused by her. Lin Changqing also said, "It should be possible, but the problem now is that others don't know you. So I have a good idea for you. You just need to embroider 'I am Lin Changqing's sister' on both the front and back of your Taoist robe. When others see these words, they may really give you a little color." As soon as the voice fell, everyone in the family couldn't help laughing, especially the mother and aunt, and his several Taoist companions, who laughed so hard that their stomachs hurt. Seeing the family members laughing like this, although she knew it was a joke, Lin Changling couldn't hold back her face. So she patted Lin Changqing's shoulder fiercely and said angrily, "Stinky Lin Changqing, who wants you to be your sister? My spiritual roots are better than yours, and I will definitely be more powerful than you in the future. Just wait." When Lin Changqing heard this, she knew that she had angered her, and she quickly opened her mouth to comfort and apologize. Fortunately, he had many Taoist companions, and they were all very smart. They surrounded Lin Changling and quickly coaxed her. As for Lin Changqing himself, he answered various questions raised by his mother, aunt, and Murin Kingayan. After a long time, he was called into the secret room by his grandfather and father. After the three of them sat down, the grandfather asked, "Kinger, What exactly did Feng Wuhan want to find you for? Lin Changqing told the conversation between him and Feng Wuhan just now. After hearing about the golden elixir, his father and grandfather were also shocked. This kind of spiritual object, for the family cultivators, is something that can change fate. In the place of Qinggai Unjiao, it is very difficult for all the family cultivators to get the Jinden. Even if the Lin family has the relationship with a great-grandmother, it is estimated that it is very, very difficult. The only possibility is probably to venture into various secret realms, or to try your luck in the Xuanayan continent. But now Feng Wuhan has taken out the Jinden, whether as a reward or bait, proving that this new secret realm must be very difficult. It is even possible that they have already explored it initially, but the estimated loss is very large, so they want to find a powerful cultivator to explore it. So the first reaction of father and grandfather was to disapprove of Lin Changqing's adventure. Then Lin Changqing told them the news that he had refused, and the two of them were relieved. Then the grandfather asked again, now you are the patriarch of the family, and your words and deeds represent the family, and even relate to the rise and fall of the family. So every decision you make must be cautious. Sometimes it is better to miss a good opportunity than to take risks lightly. Understand, Lin Changqing knew that his grandfather said this for the sake of family inheritance, so he did not argue with him, but just agreed respectfully. Then the father asked again, Kinger, what are your plans after you take over the position of clan leader? Lin Changqing has also thought of 3 measures that will help the family grow during this period of time. So he said, I do have some ideas. I will put them forward after I perfect them recently. Now I can tell you first. The first is to increase the number of family cultivators. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is to introduce measures to vigorously encourage family members to have children. The second is to improve the treatment of family cultivators, including opening up some high-level exercises and lowering the threshold for exchanging foundation-building pills. The third is to hold family competitions regularly, select the top few, and give generous rewards to motivate the family members to practice hard. For the time being, these are the 3 ideas, but the specific details still need to be improved before they can be brought to the table for discussion. After hearing this, father and grandfather could not help but nod their heads, but grandfather still said, the premise for the implementation of these measures of yours is resources. Giving birth to more clan members requires resource support, improving treatment requires more resource support, and holding a family competition requires fewer resources. But the question is, does the family have so many resources for you? Or do you want to use resources to subsidize the family? To be honest, Lin Changqing really had this idea vaguely, but at that time, he wanted to subsidize a little secretly. As long as it can make the family strong, it is actually no big deal for him to use some extra resources. After all, the low-level resources accumulated in the inner space are really countless, but Lin Changqing is not convenient to tell his father and grandfather. So he said to the two, the existing resources of the family should be enough to support for a period of time, and then I will think of some ways to increase income. It should be able to barely maintain these 3 measures. If they are implemented, I believe that as long as they can persist for a few years, there will be obvious results. After hearing this, father and grandfather were barely convinced by him, so the 3 of them discussed the details together. After the discussion was almost over, the 2 of them left the secret room and returned to their own yard. At this time, Lin Changqing felt a little relieved. There were really a lot of things that happened today, but fortunately, they were finally over. Now Chen Ziya and Mu Xiaoxia are both 6 or 7 months pregnant, so he stayed in their room for a while and was intimate with them. He still went to Li Xiangting. After a fierce attack and defense, she lay in Lin Changqing's arms to rest. Suddenly I thought of something, so I asked with a smile, Brother Qing, the succession ceremony is over. Are the people from Qinggayan sect going back? And your junior sister Huyana, what are you going to do? She is eagerly waiting for you to express your opinion. Maybe, as long as you open your mouth, she will stay happily. How about it? Do you want to try whether you have this charm? When Lin Changqing heard that Li Xiangting dared to tease him, he immediately slapped her arm without hesitation, and hit her hard several times. Then he said, don't add fuel to the fire. I have you guys as much as I need. I really don't want to provoke anyone else. Besides, this matter is not as simple as you think, so if you can provoke someone, it's better not to provoke them. Haven't you seen me for a while? I seldom go home. You are trying to avoid meeting her. When they leave Jiufeng Mountain in a few days, it will be quiet. So during this period of time, Don't provoke her, so as not to cause any unnecessary trouble, understand? Chapter 770 Finale 1. When Lin Changqing heard this, she smiled and said, "Well, I will treat her as an ordinary guest. I'm just afraid that she will not be willing to come and cause trouble for you." Lin Changqing thought about it and realized that this was really possible. He decided to go into seclusion for a period of time starting tomorrow. The next morning, he told his Taoist friends about this decision. After hugging his son Lin Hai, he ran to the old patriarch's room to go into seclusion. When he came out of seclusion half a month later, he found out that the people of Qingyuan sect had gone back 10 days ago. Originally, Hu Yun'er wanted to stay here and accompany Chen Ziya until her child was born, but her elders disagreed and took her back. At this time, Lin Changqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. It should be quiet in the future. After half a month of settling down, the aftermath of the succession ceremony had passed, and the family returned to its previous peace. Taking this opportunity, Lin Changqing, as the patriarch, summoned all the elders and clan members above the foundation building stage to hold a clan meeting. He first listened to the reports of the elders and understood the problems in all aspects of the family before he took out the 3 measures he had prepared for discussion. However, after everyone looked at Lin Changqing's plan, there were many people who agreed and opposed it. The focus of the debate was how long the family's existing resources could support these 3 measures. Lin Changqing waited for a long time, until everyone had almost discussed it, and then he said, "The implementation of these 3 measures is imperative. Our Lin family is now the only Purple Mansion family in Qingyuan Prefecture, and even in the 6 surrounding prefectures. But now there are only 365 registered clansmen, which is not worthy of the name and strength of the Purple Mansion family. In addition, if the old patriarch succeeds in attacking the Purple Mansion, our Lin family will be a double Purple Mansion. Therefore, it is imperative to increase the number and strength of the family cultivators, and no one can stop the implementation of these 3 measures." As soon as Lin Changqing finished speaking, everyone below fell into deep thought. Finally, it was the new elder of the General Affairs Hall, the 14th uncle, who spoke up. "Then this reward is too generous. We are mainly afraid that we can't maintain it for long." When Lin Changqing heard this, he patiently analyzed it. Although our Lin family has almost 1 million ordinary people, but after removing the elderly, children, and middle-aged people who are no longer fertile, there are only about a quarter of the marriageable population. If we remove some unmarried young people, the proportion will be even lower. Now that the family has 100,000 pairs of ordinary people with fertility, we should be thankful. Then for each new member of the family, the reward of 100 taels of silver and 10 acres of land is actually not much. 1 low-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 1,000 taels of silver. As for land, the Lin family has even more. At most, they can organize a group of people to open up wasteland. And even if these 100,000 pairs of ordinary people can give birth to new life every year, the family has only paid 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. Think about it, with so many new members in the family, even if we only pick 1 out of 10,000, the Lin family should be able to add 10 monks with spiritual roots every year, right? It is much better than the current situation where only 1 or 2 or 3 can be produced from the ordinary members every year, right? And if we add the direct descendants of the monks in Jiufeng Mountain, there should be more than a dozen new monks every year. As for the rewards for being tested with spiritual roots, they are actually not much. The reward given to the parents of the ordinary members who are tested with spiritual roots is the strengthening pill, the longevity pill, and the like. For us, it is just some inferior pills. But for them, it is a rare treasure that can more effectively improve them and add fresh blood to the family. So the expenses in this regard are actually very small. On the contrary, in the identity jade card of the new members, the family contribution points are raised from 100 points to 500 points, and this expense will be slightly larger. But this is also necessary, otherwise they are new here, and they have no direct elders to rely on, and it is still difficult for them to obtain resources. Therefore, these 500 family contribution points must be paid. This will also make them more recognized of the family, and naturally they will be more loyal to the family. As soon as Lin Changqing finished explaining, all the people present had a deep understanding of the advantages and disadvantages of this measure. No one objected at all, so it was unanimously passed. The second item was to improve the treatment of the clan members, mainly including opening some high-level exercises and lowering the threshold for exchanging foundation building pills. This item was basically agreed by the vast majority of people, and naturally passed smoothly. It's just that the reduction is not large, only 2 levels, that is to say, if 30,000 family contribution points were needed before, now only 24,000 contribution points are enough. Don't underestimate these 6,000 contribution points. A small family needs several years to earn them. As for the third item, the debate was the most intense, because this family competition was mainly aimed at the clan members in the key refining period. Lin Changqing designed it to be held every 3 years, and the prizes for the top 3 were spirit stones and foundation building pills. This was immediately opposed by the vast majority of people, who believed that although the family now has dozens of stocks, but it shouldn't be consumed like this, so there are a lot of people who oppose it. The final result of the debate. It was to modify the years, and the family competition changed from once every 3 years to once every 10 years, and it was barely passed. For these 3 measures, everyone discussed for a day. When he came out of the family meeting hall, Lin Changqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since it has been passed, just issue a notice and hand it over to the clan members below to implement it. If you want to see the results, it will take some time, and he just needs to wait patiently. So in a blink of an eye, half a year has passed. The good news is that Lin Changqing has another son and a daughter. Chen Ziya gave birth to a son for him and named him Lin Yuan. Mu Xiaoxiao gave birth to a daughter for him and named her Lin Jing. This is what Lin Changqing had thought of before, and he used it directly. But not only that, Li Xiangting is now pregnant again. But it's only been a few months. Anyway, Lin Changqing's yard is now very lively every day, with his mother, and sister, 3 Taoist partners and 3 little guys. In addition, his father and grandfather occasionally come over. It is really full of fireworks, not like a family of immortals. However, Lin Changqing himself likes it very much. He really likes the days when all his family members are around him. He feels very happy and fulfilled. It's a pity that his second uncle has been carrying out secret missions and can't come back to reunite. Sometimes Lin Changqing really misses him. Chapter 771, Finale, the whole clan ascends. In the blink of an eye, 20 years have passed. Many things happened during this period, the first of which was Lin Changqing's children. The 3 Taoist companions gave birth to a total of 6 children for him, exactly 3 boys and 3 girls, and they all had spiritual roots. However, the one with the best spiritual roots was the eldest, Lin Ronghe, who had 3 spiritual roots of water, earth and gold, while the others had 4 or 5 spiritual roots. Even so, Lin Changqing was already very satisfied, at least he didn't have to endure the pain of separation from his flesh and blood. Moreover, the eldest, Lin Ronghe, has now reached the great perfection of key refining, and is honing his spiritual power and preparing to build his foundation. The one with the worst cultivation is the 5th, Lin Rongyin, who has reached the 6th level of key refining. However, Lin Changqing asked all 6 children to practice the Thunder Sutra concurrently, intending to help them all get top-grade Thunder spiritual roots. Anyway, it was impossible for him to give up any of the children, and he couldn't do it. But he also knew that this kind of thing was of great importance, so he asked the children to try not to use it outside. The matter of the top-grade Thunder Spirit root was successfully tested by Grandpa himself, and perfectly reproduced Lin Changqing's experience. This made them believe that it is really possible to create Thunder Spirit roots in an artificial form through this method. The second aspect is that the old patriarch successfully passed the Thunder Tribulation with the help of Lin Changqing 10 years ago. And Lin Changqing's grandfather Lin Fandao also successfully advanced to the Purple Mansion with his help a year ago. In this way, the Lin family has a total of 3 Purple Mansion cultivators. First, they are really unparalleled. The Purple Mansion ceremony has been held twice. In addition, with the super combat power of Lin Changqing, basically no one dared to provoke the Jiufeng Mountain Lin family in recent years. This has created very favorable conditions for the reproduction and development of the family, and also laid the foundation for the prosperity of the Lin family. The third aspect is that after the implementation of the 3 measures, the strength of the Lin family has grown by leaps and bounds in the past 20 years. The most obvious is that the number of registered clansmen has been close to 1,000. And in recent years, 2 more Earth Spirit Root clansmen have emerged, and they are naturally trained by the Lin family. On the surface, the Lin family already has more than 60 foundation building monks, and that's not all. The Lin family also has 3 other secretly developed branch families, which are not counted here, otherwise the number must be even greater. At least the foundation-building monks should be over 100. By the way, Lin Changqing used the name of the head of the Lin family to secretly visit the three branch families several times. And near the branch family's residence, he asked Lin Changqing to leave a space beacon, so it was very convenient to travel. Naturally, his second uncle's family must be very familiar with him, and even Lin Changqing's two younger brothers and sisters were brought back to the family by him. It can be said that the current strength of the Lin family is already the strongest in history. Anyway, the families around the Lin family are all trembling. But they dare not have any obvious little moves, otherwise these small foundation-building families may inexplicably fall apart in an instant. Because there is a precedent, they are all very honest. Instead, they scrambled to marry the female cultivators of the right age to the Lin family, and they also tried their best to get the female cultivators of the Lin family to marry them. And the most noteworthy thing is that Lin Changqing's aunt and sister have been pursued crazily by various young men over the years. Unfortunately, the two of them focused on cultivation and looked down on them, so they are still single. Lin Changqing is not going to intervene. Anyway, they have all taken the Sanhu rejuvenating pill, and they will look like this in the future. In addition, their minds are mature. When they meet the right person, they will naturally marry themselves out, so he doesn't have to worry about this. By then, the three daughters will have grown up, inherited the good genes of both parents, and all are lively, cute, and beautiful little cotton-padded jackets. In addition to the identities of their fathers and grandfathers, there are also countless suitors. Faced with their many suitors, Lin Changqing, the old father, wished to beat these people into pulp to prevent them from coming to harm his daughters. The fourth aspect is the hidden hand he arranged for himself. Although Lin Changqing has never left Jiufeng Mountain on the surface in the past 20 years, in fact, he often travels to various places in Zuanayan continent through Lin Changliu, and sends all his foremost trusted subordinates out. Provide spiritual stones and spiritual objects, let them earn spiritual stones for him. Of course Lin Changqing will definitely not treat them unfairly. Over the years, they have already used part of the spiritual objects produced in the inner space and the ready-made spiritual stones, and collected a lot of suitable fourth-level magic weapons and some high-level materials for Lin Changqing. Of course, those thunder attribute spiritual tools are more spiritual. After all, so many people in the Lin family practice the Thunder Sutra, and the demand for this is the greatest. And 20 years later, Lin Changqing himself practiced hard, and with the help of Beihuzuhan wine and other spiritual objects. Now the Five Elements Chaos Sutra has been cultivated to the realm of the great perfection of the Purple Mansion, and it is ready to be promoted to the Golden Elixir at any time. As for the Thunder Sutra, the speed is even faster. Since the Thunder Body Refining Tower was built, the speed of opening up the Thunder acupoints is really super fast. It grows at an average rate of 6 to 7 per year. The 108 acupoints that need to be opened in the Purple Mansion stage were completed 3 years ago. Now he has a total of 216 Thunder acupoints, and all of these acupoints have been expanded. After all, Lin Changqing will not waste 3 years. Now as long as he opens up a Thunder acupoint, it will attract Thunder tribulation. So he has not done this action. Now the two fundamental methods have been cultivated to the point where there is no further progress. Therefore, his next step is to prepare for the promotion to the Golden Core. After considering it, he thinks that he should first use the Five Elements Chaos Sutra to form a pill, and then the Thunder Sutra. The reason for making this decision is that at that time, the Thunder Sutra was cultivated to the time when the 216 acupoints were completed. Lin Changqing once thought about it in his mind, breaking through the Thunder Sutra's skills first, so that he can have a real Golden Core level combat power. Unexpectedly, as soon as this thought came up, his innate merit true eye kept beating wildly, beating more violently than the previous two warnings. At that time, Lin Changqing knew that he couldn't do this. Although he didn't know why, he wouldn't be so stubborn and go against the heaven. So he simply followed his heart and adjusted the focus of cultivation to expanding the Thunder acupoints. Now that the two fundamental methods have finally been perfected, Lin Changqing is ready to go to the super sect Shenmu sect in Zuanayu continent. In the outer market of Shenmu sect, rent their open caves and tribulation formations. For this matter, Lin Changqing has sent Su Miniang and Zhao Linayu to take the lead. After confirming that there is no problem, he will go there in person. I believe that this tribulation, he is so well prepared, it should not be a problem. When he returns from Shenmu sect, He will be a real giant and cultivator, but as a subsidiary force of Qingyuan sect, he thinks it is better not to let others know. And he also has the confidence to lead the Lin family to a more prosperous scene in the future. Even with the help of Lin Changqing, it is possible to achieve the ascension of the whole family. This is the end of the book. Chapter 772, Final Remarks. Hello fellow book lovers. I am Yishu, and I have finally finished writing this book. Although it ended rather hastily, it is still a barely acceptable explanation to all of you book lovers. Every plot in this book has been developed with great effort, at least it is original, and it can barely be said to be wonderful. The above content is the author's shameless self-praise, please don't mind. There are also some names of exercises, secret techniques, and magic weapons, which I have been changing and thinking about in my mind. I didn't write them down until I was satisfied. It takes more than 2 or 3 hours every day to conceive and develop the plot, and then several hours to write them out. Many book lovers should know that Yishu uses Wubi, so it is so slow, and there are some typos that affect reading. Anyway, I apologize to everyone here. I'm sorry that Yishu didn't do his best and let everyone down. Then, let's talk about this book. The reason why I had the idea of writing a book was that I was always short of books at the time and couldn't find a suitable book to read. Because of this, I was very self-conscious and actually had the idea of writing a book myself. Once this idea came up, it was out of control. So I wrote the first few dozen chapters in a hurry. Later, after uploading it to the platform, I was lucky enough to be noticed by Fox and successfully signed. But after all, I was a new author and had no experience at all. I made many mistakes. So the subscription situation was really very ordinary, and the little cutie that finally fell into my hands was also very driving. Fortunately, I still have other jobs, otherwise I would probably starve to death. Of course, inevitably, I once thought about giving up it. Because, for this book, basically all my free time was consumed on it. But when I thought about giving up like this, I was very reluctant. After all, it was like my child. I really couldn't bear to kill it like this. So every time I wanted to give up, or when I was hesitant and confused, I would go to the author's backstage to see the recommendation tickets, monthly tickets and messages given to me by the book friends. In this way, every time I would get some strength to write again. So I would like to give special thanks to Popfin Cien, Yang Feng, Bored Youth, H.T. Jiaohe, Silent Zinxin, etc. Many of the book friends who I remember or supported this book. It is really you who gave me the strength to finish it, although the ending is a bit hasty. In fact, I always think that I should at least give an explanation to these book friends who support me, so I can persist until now. It has been more than a year. When I finished the book yesterday, I actually had a rare good sleep. Maybe I really have less worries in my heart. As for whether I will continue to write the next book, I haven't thought about it yet. Maybe I should take a good rest for a while. Writing a book is really tiring. So Popfin Cien said to remember my ID, which is really great. At least here, someone still remembers me. Remember me, a rookie author, and this not so perfect effort. So thank you. I have imagined in my mind more than once if I could finish this book. I will say something to the book friends at the end. Until now, I really have a lot of things in my heart that I want to say to you. But when it comes to writing, I don't know what to say. I don't want to pass on the pain and bitterness, as well as those negative things, to you here, so I won't say it. Maybe only if you experience it yourself, you can understand how difficult it is to be an author. Well, that's all for now. The mountains are high and the rivers are long, and the rivers and lakes are long. We will see each other again if we are destined to. A Tree of Oranges. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.